know, like the accent
He
is
wants me
kind
to
of
open the
throwing me
freaking
off.
door. He's obsessed with me. He just
Yeah,
wants
I'd
to
like to
talk.
read just a few more. All right, let's pick it up. And Ron, if you'd like to read, would like to open your Quran and read with us or no?
Yes, I would. I'll pick like some cool background music. I've never heard the Quran being read like this before with background music, but I
Iran
like
does it
Iran,
a
it.
lot. Yeah,
It's
Iran
such
does
a
it a
good
lot.
vibe.
Yeah, I
Go ahead.
know.
Sister, we're on Surah 75 and 1, the very first ayah.
Bro, we've had at least three people come into the space and enter the chat and just tell us to get a life and just leave.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's been kind of crazy. It's been kind of crazy.
So, son, in Iran, it's a very common practice with this kind of music in the background and greeting out.
Oh my god, that would be blasphemous to Sunnis, but
Obviously.
I like it.
Girl.
Betty Hill.
Really, Daniel.
I do swear by the day of judgment, and I do swear by the self-reproaching soul. Do people think we cannot reassemble their bones? Yes, indeed, we are most capable of restoring even their fingerprints. Still, people want to deny what is yet to come, asking mockingly, when is the day of judgment? And when the sight is stunned, and the moon is dimmed, and the sun and the moon are brought together, on that day one will cry, where is the escape? But no, there will be no refuge. On that day all will end up before the Lord, and will then be informed of what they have set forth and be left behind. In fact, people will testify against their own souls, despite the excuses they come up with. Do not rush your tongue trying to memorize a revelation of the Quran. Hold on, let me change the music here so we get something a little bit more.
It's not going with the text.
Do not rush your tongue trying to memorize a revelation of the Quran.
Exactly.
It is certainly upon us to make you memorize and recite it. So once we have recited a revelation through Gabriel, follow its recitation closely, and it is surely upon us to make it clear to you. But no, in fact, you love the speaking and neglect the hereafter. On that day, some faces will be bright, looking at their Lord, and others' faces will be gloomy, anticipating something devastating to befall them. But no, beware of the day when the soul reaches the collarbone. It leaves, and it will be said, is there any healer who can save this life? And the dying person realizes it is their time to depart, and then their feet are tied together in a shroud. On that day they will be driven to your Lord alone. The sinner neither believed nor prayed, but persisted in denial and turned away, and went to their own people, walking boastfully. Woe to you, and more woe. Again, woe to you, and even more woe. Do people think they will be left without purpose, where they are not once sperm drop emitted? Then they become a clinging clot, and he developed and perfected their form, producing from it both sexes, male and female. Is such a creator unable to bring the dead back to life? Thank you, Daniel. We're on Surah 46.
That was
76.
76. Yeah.
Surah 76, and whoever would like to take it, please.
I'll take over.
Did you
Oh,
want
this is one of my favorite surahs. Can I read it?
Alright, you read it, son.
Okay.
Do you have music?
Yeah, I do. This is like meditation music. Okay, I'll start. Is there not a period of time when each human is nothing yet worth mentioning? For indeed, we alone created humans from a drop of mixed fluids in order to test them, so we made them hear and see. We already showed them the way, whether they choose to be grateful or ungrateful. Indeed, we have prepared for the disbelievers chains, shackles, and a blazing fire. Indeed, the virtuous will have a drink of pure wine flavored with camphor from a spring where Allah's servants will drink, flowing their will. They are those who fulfill their vows and fear a day of sweeping horror, and give food despite their desire for it to the poor, the orphan, and the captive, saying to themselves, "We feed you only for the sake of Allah, seeking neither reward nor thanks from you. We fear from our Lord a horribly distressful day, so Allah will deliver them from the horror of that day and grant them radiance and joy, and reward them for their perseverance with a garden in paradise and garments of silk. There they will be reclining on canopied couches, never seeing scorching heat or bitter cold. The garden's shade will be right above them, and its fruit will be made very easy to reach. They will be waited on with silver vessels and cups of crystal, crystalline silver, filled precisely as desired, and they will be given a drink of pure wine flavored with ginger from a spring called Salsabil. They will be waited on by eternal youth. If you saw them, you would think they were scattered pearls. And if you looked around, you would see indescribable bliss and a vast kingdom. The virtuous will be dressed in garments of fine green silk and rich brocade, and adorned with bracelets of silver, and their Lord will give them a purifying drink. And they will be told, "All this is surely a reward for you. Your striving has been appreciated." Indeed, it is we who have revealed the Quran to you in stages. So be patient with your Lord's decree, and do not yield to any evildoer or staunch disbeliever from among them. Always remember the name of your Lord morning and evening, and prostrate before him during parts of the night, and glorify him long at night. Surely those love this fleeting world, totally neglecting a weighty day ahead of them. It is we who created them and perfected their physical form, but if we will, we can easily replace them with others. Surely this is a reminder, so let whoever wills take the right way to their Lord. But if you cannot will to do so, unless Allah wills. Indeed, Allah is all-knowing, all-wise. He admits whoever He wills into His mercy. As for the wrongdoers, we have prepared for them a painful torment. That's it.
Very nice, son.
Great.
Well done.
It's all like Allah going, "You must not know about me. You must not know about me. I could have another you in a minute." Sorry.
I'm gonna read the next chapter. This is chapter 77.
Very, very well done. Sound beautiful.
What's up?
We've been using like this like Arabian sort of like ambient sounds.
Yeah.
Can we do something like culturally inappropriate or just like
You can. I want to do
Okay,
mine
okay.
Arabian, but you can do yours the next chapter.
okay, fair enough.
By those winds
sent forth successively, and those blowing violently, and those scattering rain clouds widely, and by those angels fully distinguishing truth from falsehood, and those delivering revelation, ending excuses and giving warnings. Surely what you have promised will come to pass. So when the stars are put out, and the sky is torn asunder, and the mountains are blown away, and the messenger's time to testify comes up, for which day has all this been set? For the day of final decision. And what will make you realize what the day of decision is? Oh, woe on that day to the deniers. Did we not destroy earlier disbelievers? And we will make the later disbelievers follow them. This is how we deal with the wicked. Woe on that day to the deniers. Did we not create you from a hump fluid, placing it in a secure place until an appointed time? We perfectly ordained its development. How excellent are we in doing so? Woe on that day to the deniers. Have we not made the earth a lodging for the living and the dead? And placed upon it firm mountains, and given you fresh water to drink? Woe on that day to the deniers. The disbelievers will be told, proceed into that fire which was used to deny. Proceed into that shade of smoke which rises in 3 columns, providing neither coolness nor shelter from the flames. Indeed, it hurls sparks as big as castles and as dark as black camels. Woe on that day to the deniers. On that day will they not be in a position to speak, nor will they be permitted to offer excuses. Woe on that day to the deniers. They will be told by Allah, this is the day of final decision. We have gathered you along with earlier disbelievers for punishment. So if you have a scheme to save yourselves, then use it against me. Woe on that day to the deniers. Indeed, the righteous will be amid cool shaded springs, and any fruit they desire. They will be told, eat and drink happily for what you used to do. Surely this is how we reward the good doers. But woe on that day to the deniers. Eat and enjoy yourselves for a little while, for you are truly wicked. Woe on that day to the deniers. When it said to them, bow down before Allah, they do not bow. Woe on that day to the deniers. So what message after this Quran would they believe in? God, this book is so repetitive. Oh my God. Ugh.
Damn.
Oh my God.
Damn. What's up?
I did a couple searches on the Quran, and I asked what percentage of the Quran is just repeating or is repetitious, and it turns out to be 1/3 of the Quran just saying the same thing again. Do you know this little sort of this idea that the mountains are turned to, like, on the day of judgment, the mountains are like turned to dust and things like that.
Yeah.
Like, you remember, like, over the past few hours, how many times have we heard this? Like, it's just over and over.
Yeah, the sky is split apart. The mountains are in the dust. It keeps saying that there's going to be fruit within your nearby that you don't like when you're sitting down. There's going to be fruit that you can just like grab nearby. Like, it needs to reiterate that, like, the fruit, you don't have to get up to get the fruit. You know what I mean? Like, the fruit will be like right by your arm. Like, that's like needs to be told like 7 different times. Like, oh, you can just reach for the fruit. It's right there. Those grapes. Oh my God, you don't even have to stand up for the grapes.
Yeah, it's hard to find like a charitable rendering in which you can say like this text is completely edifying, but I think that like me, I think what is the most edifying thing about it is like the thing that seems to be like haram. It's like the beauty of the spoken language, the aesthetics of how it sounds, which is ironic. Like it could be a text that says uninteresting things, but nonetheless sounds extraordinary and beautiful. So, I mean, good grief, are they ever? This book is like the disbelievers will finally see. Like the day is coming. It's just like these it's this threatening tone, but it's the tone in which the tone of a coward, because it doesn't allow for any opposition just to have their view. It's just like spewing all of this rhetoric. It's literally just think of a debater that would just have that much rhetoric in their presentation. You would immediately identify them as just a hack, right? Like the text is all bluster and no mustard. It's just bluster.
Scott is even
You guys
the
are just being
I'm
biased.
sorry.
You guys
I'm
are
not
being
even.
biased.
We're literally
How?
we've read.
No,
We're
they're not being
even
biased.
We've been
we're not
reading
even
for
giving,
fucking
like,
hours of this, dude.
Yeah, we've been
barely
reading for
giving
hours.
any credit to
I was very generous on
text
to it.
with the
I
reading.
gave it. You didn't hear me. I said that the value is in how elegant. Have you ever heard someone listening to someone reciting the Quran is extraordinary. It just gives you chills. But the fucking words in there are not like that. I don't know why that's
Okay,
such.
I think personally, when I hear you guys like reading it with the meditation music in the background and stuff, it sounds very similar to when I listen to readings from Buddhist books or Tao books, you know, where they're giving small sentences with very deep meaning, right? And they're moving from subject to subject. So this is not unheard of in scriptures, you know, to be this way. And the constant reminder of like the punishment and the hell, that is meant to be a reminder of accountability to these people, trying to drive home that message of you will be somehow accountable for everything that you do in this life, right? So, I mean, you guys can keep reading though. I'm just giving my.
I painted it very generously, actually, the sound. Like, that's why he, like, turned around and said, you're painting it like it's like a great Persian poet.
Hello, guys. Are you ready to die for Israel? Who's ready to die for Israel?
Dude, who is this?
What?
But you know what? Like, I think Daniel is right. There's an
I'm
aesthetic.
sorry, Nargis. You know that it would pains me. I don't want to fucking say that about it.
I know.
The tech.
I know.
It's like,
I
what do
also
I
see
do
it.
though?
But there's an aesthetic even in the fear mongering. Is that what I'm saying? Like, if you're just looking at it from like an artistic perspective, there's even the fear mongering has a certain kind of style and aesthetics to it, right? I mean, I think it's cool the way he's like expressing it. Now, whether it has reality or not, I'm just reading it as a text. We've been reading it for hours just for the quality of the text.
I'm trying to make it sound as cool as possible. I'm reading it in a way that like makes it sound like poetic. I'm having music in the background that gives like the ambiance, and you know it does have a certain like quality when you do it that way. But it just repeats itself constantly about how heaven is gonna have really brocaded couches and green cushions, and there's gonna be a river that's named like Salishmail or something like that. And there's gonna be these little slave boys that look like pearls somehow. They're gonna be like giving you stuff, and there's gonna be pretty girls around you in heaven. But in hell, you're gonna eat pus and be drinking boiling water. And there's gonna be shade, but it won't cool you. Like it just never stops. It just keeps going on and on.
We're talking about that's stuff in the Quran. Yeah, that shows up quite a few times. I wish
Are you like using a 1930s radio?
Yeah.
I'd like to say something from what are they asking one another about? About the monumentous news? No, not that. Over which they disagree. But no, they will not. They will come to know. Again, no. They will come to know. Have we not smoothed out the earth like a bed and made the mountains as its pegs, and created you in pairs and made your sleep rest, and made the night as a cover, and made the day for livelihood, and built above you 7 mighty heavens, and placed in them a shining lamp, and sent down from rain clouds pouring water, producing white grain and various plants, the dense orchards. Indeed, the day of final decision is an appointed time. It will come. It is the day the trumpet will be blown. And wouldn't it be a shame if you were to be on the wrong end of that stick? Wouldn't it be horrible if you weren't to obey me? It is the day the trumpet will be blown, and you will all come forth in crowds. The sky will be split open, becoming many gates, and the mountains will be blown away, becoming like a mirage. Indeed, hell is lying in ambush. Hell will be waiting for you as a home for the transgressors, where they will remain for endless ages. They will not taste any coolness or drink except boiling water and oozing pus. A fitting reward. Never expected any reckoning. They didn't even see it coming. And totally rejected art vines. And we have everything recorded precisely. From the last breath, from the last hair follicle, from the last beat of your heart. So the deniers will be told, taste the punishment, for all you will get from us is more torment. Indeed, the righteous will have salvation, garden, vineyards, and full-titted maidens of equal age. Oh boy, and full cups of pure wine, spaghetti, mom's gravy, meatballs.
Wait a minute.
Meatballs of the... Just bear with me. Never have heard any idle talk about it.
About 72 Kumars.
A fitting reward is a generous gift from your Lord, the Lord of the heaven and the earth and everything in between, the most compassionate. No one will dare speak to him. On the day, the Holy Spirit and the angels will stand in righteousness, except those granted permission by the God, the most compassionate, and whose words are true. That day is the ultimate truth, so let whoever wills take the past meeting back to their Lord. Indeed, we have warned you of an imminent punishment. Right? Ain't that right? The day every person will see the consequences of what their hands have done. The disbelievers will cry, I wish I were dust.
Nathaniel, when it comes to Jonah, should you forget about it?
Forget about it.
No, you must never forget about it. When it comes to the Jonah,
You laid it on so thick. Like, who is this guy writing this, man?
don't ever forget about it.
Bro, imagine some guy writing this, like, with a straight face. Like, what type of man he is.
I would have been captivated if Muhammad was standing in front of his people reading this, I would be amazed. Like, this is very poetic. It's very deep, very meditative. Yeah.
What universe am I in where I don't get this?
Listen, you're gonna eat pasta now. You're gonna eat
It's
pasta
just a
now.
petty threatening of people that disagree with you. You better fucking believe, or it's hoax.
You're gonna eat fucking pasta in hell, bro. And if you go to heaven, there's gonna be some big-titted women, and the grapes are gonna be right next to you, bro. You're not even believe how close by the fruit is gonna be. And bro, your glasses, they're gonna be jewels or silver or whatever you want, any kind of glasses you want. Like, they're using human status symbols of like wealth, jewels, and stuff like that to be like pleasures in the afterlife. Don't you think human status concerns will maybe not be relevant in heaven? And that there'll be other kinds of pleasures that you enjoy in the afterlife, not ones of like slaves, big-titted women, and silver plates. Like maybe that's not how it goes in heaven. Maybe just think about it.
Yeah, like the most base part of us is like, kind of like, all right, big titted women, all right, thumbs up. It's like the only part we would agree with, I think. Well, you like the slender type, but I mean, if you're talking some fucking Rocky Mountain oysters, those big titties, like, it talks about the breasts, the size of the breasts, or the supple breasts of women. It's because of it. It's just.
Okay,
Alright, so I'm gonna read the next chapter. By those angels stripping out evil souls harshly, and those pulling out good souls gently, and those gliding through heavens swiftly, and those taking the lead vigorously, and those conducting affairs obediently, consider the day when the quaking blast will come to pass, following the second blast. The deniers, hearts on that day, will have trembling in horror, with eyes downcast. But now they ask mockingly, what will we really have restored to our former state? And even after we have been reduced to decayed bones, adding, such a return would be a total loss for us. But indeed, it will take only one mighty blast, and at once they will be above ground. In the story of Moses, has the story of Moses reached your prophet? His Lord is called at the sacred valley of Dua, commanding, go Pharaoh. He has truly transgressed all bounds. And say, would you be willing to purify yourself? And let me guide you to your Lord, so that you may be in awe of him? Then Moses showed him a great sign, but he denied and disobeyed Allah. Then turned his back, striving against the truth. He summoned his people and called out, saying, I am your Lord, the Most High. So Allah overturned him, making him an example in his life in the next. Surely in this lesson for whoever stands in awe of Allah, which is harder to create, you or the sky? He built it, raising it high, forming it flawlessly. He dimmed its night and brought forth its daylight. As for the earth, he spread it out as well, bringing forth its water and pastures, and setting mountains firmly upon it, all as a means of sustenance for you and your animals. But when the supreme disaster comes to pass, and every person will remember all their striving, and the hellfire will be displayed for all to see, then as for those who transgressed and preferred the feeling of life of this world, the hellfire will certainly be their home. As for those who were in awe, standing before the Lord, and restrain themselves from evil desires, paradise will certainly be their home. They ask your prophets regarding the hour, when will it be? But it is not for you to tell its time. That knowledge rests for your Lord alone. Your duty is only to warn whoever is in awe of it. On that day they see it, it will be as if they had stayed in the world no more than one evening or its morning.
Dude, he is so good at impressions. You should do the next one in like a really kind of whiny, I'm a victim Jewy accent.
Yeah, okay, I got that. I got
It's
that.
not gonna be good. It's not.
Can I do this one, please?
Hold on, let me just say one thing. We've read approximately 40% of the Quran in this time. It's actually not quite as
30,
long a book as I have,
50 minutes?
but it could be 35 to it could be anywhere from 35 to 45% of the Quran. And if we continue, we could probably finish it.
Because the verses are getting shorter, so we.
Yeah, they get
fact,
much.
I think that we shouldn't do it in ways that people are like it people off. Like so that we're going
I want to try the Jewy one, if that's cool. Oi, hey. Oh, he frowned and turned his attention away, simply because the blind man came to him interrupting? You never know, prophet. Perhaps he may be purified, or may be mindful, benefiting from the reminder. As for the one who was indifferent, he gave him undivided attention. And even though you are not to blame, if he would have not been purified, but is the one who came to you eager to learn, being in awe of the law, you were inattentive to him. Oh, but no, this revelation is truly a reminder, so let whoever be wills it be mindful of it. It is written on pages, held in honors, highly esteemed, purified by the hands of angel scribes, honorable and virtuous. Condemned and disbelieving. Oh, sorry, I lost it.
Beautiful say that was great.
Oy vey. Condemned are the disbelieving humans. Oh. Sorry, I'm gonna read it straight. The rest of the verse. Condemned are disbelieving humans. How ungrateful are they to Allah? From what substance did He create them? He created them from sperm drop and ordained their development. Then He made the way easy for them, then causes them to die and be buried. Then He will resurrect them. But no, they have failed to comply with what He ordered. Let people consider their food, how we will pour down in abundance, and meticulously split the earth open for sprouts, causing grain to grow in it, as well as grapes and greens and olives and palm trees and dense orchards, and fruits and fodder, as all as means of sustenance for you and your animals. And then, when the deafening blast comes to pass, on that day, every person will flee from their own siblings, and even their mother and father, and even their spouse and children, and everyone will have enough concern of their own. On that day, some faces will be bright, laughing and rejoices, while others will be dusty, cast in gloom. Those are the disbelievers, the wicked sinners. It just never stops bringing up the unbelievers and how they're gonna be really regret it. It just never stops. It never fucking stops. It never changes the subject. It keeps bringing it up. It's insane. It's literally psychotic. The amount that it brings this up.
It's literally what the kuffar said. They were irritated as hell.
So Muhammad is sitting. Muhammad is sitting on this low rock. Little people have gathered around him, just mesmerized by this man. He's simple, they don't know who he is. And he just points at the sun. It's a scorching Arabian sun in the Arabian Peninsula. He says, by the sun and its brightness, by the moon when it follows it, and by the day when it displays it, by the night when it covers it, by the sky and he who constructed it, and by this earth, he who spread it, and by the soul, he who has proportioned it and inspired it with the discernment of wickedness and righteousness. He has succeeded, who purifies it. He has failed, who instills it with corruption. Samud denied their prophet by reason of transgression. And when the most wretched of them was sent forth, and the messenger of God said to them, don't harm the she-camel, don't prevent her from drink. But they denied him. They hamstrung her. So their Lord brought down to them destruction for their sin and made it equal among them. So do not transgress. Do not transgress.
Yeah, honestly, I think I prefer Nargis's rendering.
I like the Jewy one better. What verse did you? What story did you just read?
I don't know the song.
91, the sun.
Okay. Alright, well, I'm in chapter 80. I'm in chapter 81.
Read one like Ani said.
Yeah, when the sun is when the stars fall down, get to the chapel, and when the mountains are blue,
Get to alive.
and when the pregnant camels are left untended, get to alive.
Alright. I'm gonna.
Just
When the sun is put out, and when the stars fall down from the heavens, and when the mountains are blown away, and when the pregnant camels are left untended, and when the wild beasts are gathered together, and when the seas are set on fire, and when the souls in their bodies are paired once more, when baby girls buried alive are asked, what crime were they put to death? And when the records of deeds are laid open, and when the sky is stripped away, and when hellfire is fiercely flared up, and when paradise is brought near, on that day, each soul will know what deeds it has brought along. I do swear by the receding stars, which travel and hide, and the night as it falls, and the day as it breaks. Indeed, the Quran is the word of Allah, delivered by Gabriel, a noble messenger angel, full of power, held in honor by the Lord of the throne, obeyed there in heaven, and trustworthy. And your fellow man is not insane. And he did see the angel on that clear horizon, and he does not withhold what is revealed to him of the unseen. And this Quran is not the word of an outcast devil. So what other path would you take? Surely this Quran is only a reminder to the whole world. To whoever you wills to take the straight way, but you cannot will to do except by the will of Allah, Lord of all worlds. It's kind of strange that this is God's words, but then it says, I swear by the receding stars. So like God is like being like, I swear on the stars that this is true. Like, shouldn't you like God not be doing that? Shouldn't he just be saying stuff and you believe it by default? Doesn't he? Shouldn't need to be like, I swear to God, I swear on the stars that that's true. It's kind of a weird thing for God to do.
I'd like to dip my toe into some Western scholarship, if I may.
Please, sure.
And I'll be. I do promise. Of course, one assumes that the Arabian believers who came into the Fertile Crescent recognized Muhammad as having been their prophet. But it is not clear how Muhammad's claim of prophecy was at first received or understood by Christians, Jews, or Samaritans of the area, or for that matter, by those of Arabia already incorporated during the Ridda Wars into the new polity. Christian literary sources from the early Islamic period that actually mention Muhammad, most do not, generally do call him prophet, but rather refer to him with terms like leader, teacher, and guide, or king, or note that he was a merchant, or that he called people to the worship of one God. Only a century or more after Muhammad's death do we begin to find Christian sources noting that his followers call him prophet and apostle. Certainly in later times, from perhaps the early 2nd century, 8th century CE, or a little later, by which date Islam had begun to coalesce from the believers' movement to a clearly defined and distinct religious confession. The recognition of Muhammad as prophet was the decisive marker that distinguished Muslims from Christians, Jews, and all others. By that time, to utter the statement of faith, the Shahada, meaning to bear witness, there is no God but God. Muhammad is the apostle of God. La ilaha illa Muhammad Rasul Allah was decisively to declare oneself a Muslim. But here again, the early evidence is suggestive. The earliest documentary attestations of the Shahada, found on coins, papyri, and inscriptions dating before 685, include only the first part, or the latter, of the latter, double Shahada. There is no God but God, sometimes with addition, who has no associate. Muhammad is not yet mentioned. If this is not merely an accident of preservation, we may see in it yet another indication of the ecumenical or non-confessional character of the early community of Muslims or believers. For the statement, there is no God but God, would have been acceptable to all monotheists, including Christians and Jews. It is not unreasonable to propose then that many Christians and Jews of Syria, Iraq, and other areas, as monotheists, could have found a place in the expanding early community of believers. Incorporating such monotheistic communities into their growing domains, the believers worked toward their goal of establishing the hegemony of God's law over the whole world. The Quran, as we have seen, promised the believers that they would, quote, inherit the earth. Quran 33, ayat 25 through 27. But this could be understood to imply not the disposition of existing monotheistic populations, but their inclusion within the believers' movement in exchange for the payment of taxes. The status of these communities and of the people in them was then probably analogous to that of many Arabian tribes or communities who had joined the believers during the Ridda Wars. An East Syria Christian text written in North Mesopotamia in 687 or 688 notes that the believers referred to in the text as, quote, the kingdom of the Tayaye, the nomads.
This is a fucking great
Demanded
scholarly
tribute
work
that allowed people to stay in whatever faith they wished. We can look at some of the early coins, the early printed coins, which is pretty cool. So that's just a little bit of scholarship in there. From the text, it's called Muhammad and the Believers by Fred Donner, and it's page 1. I read from pages 111 to 114. So it's Fred Donner's Muhammad and the Believers.
Daniel, you said that one of that others could have belonged to this, but I think the text, what you said was that he could not have an associate. There is no God but God.
That's right.
But then it mentioned he couldn't have an associate. You did read that, right? That means Jesus.
All right, well, I don't know so much that could be the case, but it seems to me that what's being stated is that the early confession of faith, the Shahada, did not include Muhammad. And even within the Quran, if we look, the only profession that was necessary was like acknowledgement of the Day of Judgment that God was one. So the idea is that early Islam was very inclusive. It included certain Christians or Jewish Christians, which could easily fall into this category. One could say this confession, and they didn't even have to acknowledge Muhammad as a messenger or a prophet. So this is an early. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, if the confession included that phrase and no associate, that's what they mean by that. I think they do. I heard
I
somebody
don't think that
mention
that's
that recently.
explicitly. No, I think that that might be like that might be the case, but I doubt it. It just seems to me that it's not later until there's explicit sort of polemic on, like, say, not three, or like it's not until like um, the construction of this building in Jerusalem, that you see this explicit polemic, like, against Christians. The point is that the early. So you're trying to say that the early movement, Islamic movement, was like, it was like, hey, Jesus bad, and that could be the case. I don't know.
No, that's not true. Yeah, there's no evidence of that.
It seems like what's described within the Quran as like the Christians being the Nazarenes. When we look at the self identification of peoples in the area as Nazarenes, you see like these Ebionite Christians who were like followed Christ but didn't see him as God. So it seems likely to me that part of the early movement were these what we would call Syriac Christians, or those that thought of Jesus in different terms as like other than divine.
Yeah.
But I don't think that the polemic on Trinitarianism, I don't see it there that early.
Yeah.
It's not until later.
Yeah. That I agree about the Ebionites and the Syrian, but it's just that phrase "no associate." I just heard that recently as referring to Jesus, but I could be wrong. Yeah. And maybe those Christians who didn't believe in the divinity of Jesus, they would have accepted that.
It's more of a polemic on the paganism of Mecca at the time. I think that it's more likely that's the case, that Judaism and paganism were far much more on the radar. Though in Yemen at the time there was like there was Christianity. Like I think it's like 8 days away from Mecca, so they're more closely in terms of the region. They're more close to like Jewish communities and pagan communities. So it seems to me that this no associates refers to like God as a multiplicity and stuff like that. But you could be right. I'd have to look more. Someone want to read the next surah?
I'd like to keep reading, if that's cool with everyone. When the sky splits open, and when the stars fall away, and when the seas burst forth, and when the graves spill out, then each soul will know what has been sent forth or left behind. O humanity, what has emboldened you against your Lord most generous? Who created you, fashioned you, and perfected your design? Molding you in whatever form you willed. But no, in fact, you denied the final judgment, while you were certainly observed by vigilant, honorable angels, recording everything. They know whatever you do. Indeed, the virtuous will be in bliss, and the wicked in hell, burning in it on Judgment Day, and they'll have no escape from it. What will you realize what Judgment Day is? And what will make you realize what Judgment Day is? Wait, what will make you realize what Judgment Day is? And what will make you realize what Judgment Day is? It just repeats itself? It is the day no soul will be of any benefit to another whatsoever. For all authority on that day belongs to Allah entirely. It just never stops, Daniel. It never stops bringing up the hell. It just keeps coming back to this topic. It fucking never
That's the
fucking
point.
stops. It never fucking stops. It's
Dude, if you
fucking
read the book
insane.
of Matthew, I know, it's like, you look at the book of Matthew and Jesus has the words on his lips, but this is, I didn't think it was mentioned this much.
I literally said 10%.
Really intense.
My 10% number is fucking so wrong. I need to actually count it because it's got to be like 40% of these verses are about like, you know, be afraid for the hereafter. Like that's got to be like 30 or 40%. Like it is unbelievable. And I don't know how Matthew and Nargis can think that Muhammad is writing this is some great scholar and thinker. If you had just had a guy come up to you and be like, "You're gonna fucking burn, bro. You're gonna fucking burn, bro. You don't even understand. You're gonna fucking burn." And you're like, "Okay, chill. Like, what are you saying to me?" And it's like,
Yeah, because
you
you're not
don't get it, bro.
interested.
You don't get it. You're gonna fucking, you're gonna burn a fire. You're gonna burn a fire. There's gonna be grapes. They're gonna give you the grapes. They're gonna be right grabbable by you, but you're also gonna burn if you don't fucking believe. You'd be like, dude, you're a fucking retard. Like, I don't know why you think this guy's an intelligent man.
Yeah, because you're not interested in history.
I'm interested in the Quran. I have direct words. I have the direct words of this man. I don't need to do fucking mumbo jumbo with history. I can just read his words and assess his intelligence.
Yeah, but you're not sitting.
Just
So
want to see him in history.
Yeah, history is not just about reading words, Sam. It's about situating
Who's
it in
that
the
better
context.
insight? If I want to know Julius Caesar's intelligence level, I can either read his writings or I can see what historians say about what his intelligence level is.
Yeah, so go to the historians and see what they say about the impact of.
A person's writings is a window into their thoughts.
He's not writing and he's talking to people.
Yeah, you're being as erratic as the people that you're claiming to criticize. You're not interested in history.
If you're interested in what writing, you can see the patterns that what writing is
You're
the
just
record of the
reading
thoughts.
words.
What
and not,
writing is just the record of the thoughts of a man. And you can see what logical can stop talking over me, Matthew. Stop talking over me.
Okay.
When you read someone's when you read someone's writing, you see how the ideas connect from one idea to the next. You see what they're paying attention. You see what their vocabulary level is, what level of abstraction they can handle, what kinds of analogies they use, the originality, what kinds of metaphors they think in. You can see when I see your writing, I can see into your mind. Okay? And you can't then say, well, no, it's better to talk to some third parties about how smart someone is. No, just look at your thinking. Look at the record of your thoughts. That is what will judge you. That is what you're tested.
Such a fuck.
Yeah, granted, it's a bit excess. I'm not gonna lie. That's also how I read it the first time I read it. But when I saw it through like a historical lens, I'm not attaching any truth value to it. I'm reading it as though it were being by this man, 7th century Arabia, introducing a concept, and then his audience is sometimes smart, is sometimes not that intellectual, is sometimes like wanting to hear a balance, like Amin was saying, of the black and white. You're seeing like a range of things being communicated here. Again, not attaching any truth value to it, reading it just as it's being said by this man. In that geography, in that time period, amongst the people he was, it's giving me so many like pointers to how the conditions were at the time. And it's quite nice. Like, just read it for its text value, like for what it is, and not for what it's trying to tell you per se, right?
The beauty in the Quran is in the recitation of it. That the Arabic is so beautiful, and the sort of norms they've come up with, the how to say it. It's literally hypnotizing. It's some of the most beautiful things that I've heard in my life. But the ideas, the words that it's expressing, dear God, they are paltry.
Can I read the next one?
They're not for you, Sam. It's for like a particular.
I'll be brief, so I'm going to read a bit more about early Islam and the movement as understood by Western scholar Fred Donner. So it's through his lens, and maybe it'll be interesting. But it also notes that among the believers who engaged in widespread raiding parties in these years were many Christians. The Nestorian patriarch in Iraq, writing a letter to one of his bishops in 647, which I think is approximately 20 to 30 years after the death of the prophet, who dies, or 10 years, who dies in, when does the prophet die? 633, 632? So writing a letter to one of his bishops in 647 or 648 CE notes that the new rulers, that is to say the Muslim or the Amir al-Mu'mineen, not only do not fight Christianity, they even commend our religion, show honor to the priests and monasteries and saints of our Lord, and make gifts to the monasteries and churches. We should also take note here on a comment made by Armenian Bishop Sebios, writing in the 660s, whose chronicle provides one of the earliest extant descriptions of the believers and their actions. Among other things, he noted that the believers' first governor of Jerusalem was a Jew. Imputation of close ties to Judaism was a favorite polemic technique used by Christian authors of this period to discredit their opponents. So this claim needs to be handled with caution, but if it's true, it provides further evidence of the confessional, open character of the Islamic movement. It is usually claimed that with the arrival of the Muslims, Christians and Jews were either reduced to subject status or protected people, al-dima or dhimmi, who paid tax but formed a distinctly lower level in society, were converted to Islam and incorporated into the Arabian Muslims as clients, Nawali. But the passages and from Sebos noted above, and a few others like them, suggest that some Christians and Jews may have been fully integrated as such into the early community of believers. Conversion was not an issue, because as monotheists they did not need to convert to anything in order to become active participants in the community, even in areas outside of Arabia. And there's more to say, but sorry, son, go ahead.
Well, I just want to say, in the name of the one who is truth and beauty, who brought forth mind from dust and lit lamps of reason, by the pen of what minds inscribe, by the doubt that purifies belief, the most honored amongst you, are the most sincere in seeking what is real. Woe to the one who knows he lies, yet adores falsehood with clever words. His tongue is a polished blade against his own soul. Blessed is the one who, upon seeking error, in himself hastens to correct it before correcting his brother. Do not rush to judge your companion until you've interrogated the shadows of your own motives. Let your concern flow beyond your tribe and border, as rivers do not stop at the lines men draw in the dust. The measure of your heart, is not how fiercely you love your kin, but how far your mercy reaches to the stranger and the powerless. Help to suffering when the cost of you is light, for every pain you could have eased and did not stand as against you, as witness against your indifference. Treat every conscious being as an end in itself, not as a tool to your hunger or vanity, for the one who formed you in the womb also formed them. Under the boundaries of the body and the freedom of the mind, there is no virtue in a yes taken by fear. Fulfill your promises and keep your contracts. They are the threads from which trust is woven. Without trusts, societies unravel like rotted cloth. Use no force except to stay the hand of grave harm. Beyond this, every blow returns upon the striker. Let truth and compassion walk together in all you do. For truth without mercy becomes cruelty, and mercy without truth becomes decay. Live so that your absence would be lamented for the good that will no longer be done. And know, the Lord of truth and beauty loves the humble questioner more than the arrogant preacher. Oh look, I made something way fucking better than the Quran. Oh my god. Oh my god, I made something way fucking better than the Quran.
Alhamdulillah. Look, I just wanted to bring everyone's attention to the image above, and it shows like extraordinary beauty. it seems to me that each surah was sort of, there was some indication in the form of a medallion or some symbol in the gold leaf. And you see the tinier little embellishments of the text. They're actually what separate the ayah from one another. So you do see like an extraordinary beauty in the text. And given the constraints, the visual artistic constraints of the 13th or 12th century Islamic society, you do see this emergence of an extraordinary devotion to beauty. And look at the text itself, and look at the gold leaf, and look at how each ayah is separated and how each surah is separated. And these manuscripts are extraordinary. And I think we can look at those as beautiful without reservation at all. So just merely look at it. But yes, it is true to say that what Sam has said, fear is just not fun. It's not the way to go.
So what I was trying to say before Sam kind of interrupted me, because I was he's deeply passionate about something for which he's not, I don't think, considered properly. Look, you'll have a lot of Muslims who will say things like the Quran is so beautiful, the Quran is so peaceful, Islam is a religion of peace. And what's happening, Sam, is that you listen to that and then you read the words, and there's a disparity between what you say you're reading and what you're hearing from confessional believers, right? So what I was trying to say, I didn't want to kind of upset you. I just was trying to explain that if you're looking at the Quran in this way, you're not kind of doing justice to your own intellect. History isn't just about reading words, it's about situating it in its context. Now, if you think that critical historians of late antiquity speak in any way near what you just, the way that you just spoke, then you're wrong, and you know that. Now, you can make fun of the Quran, you can make fun of confessional believers, that's your prerogative, but just know that if you're doing that without consideration of what the Quran is even for, or understanding Muhammad in his wider context, then you're not going to convince anyone who's either a confessional believer or someone who's approaches things rationally, like I do, or like Nargis does, right? Who said the entire Quran is beautiful or is supposed to be beautiful? Why? Yeah, if you look at it from that lens, it's not grounded in reality. Muhammad was employing rhetoric. He was employing... Remember, this is a collection of speeches that he made over probably 23 years. So to just read the words without the context is just lame. It's just a lame way to approach history. If you're saying that, no, I just want to attack like traditionalist, confessional believing Muslims because of the claim that they make about the Quran, okay, fair enough, that's fine. I'd probably agree with you. Or if you're making a claim saying that, why would God, like the creator of everything, talk in this way? Yeah, that's probably a good beginning at a criticism. But if you're just reading without considering the wider drought crisis into which we have to situate Muhammad, the fact that he did and seems like he was attempting and succeeded with a success that I don't think we've ever seen, to galvanize an audience, to build alliances with otherwise warring tribes, with establishing some kind of law, with expanding people's consciousness above and beyond what they are usually privy to. Yes, he's going to use rhetoric. The Quran is evidence that he uses confrontational speech, he's antagonistic, he's empowering. The stuff that you're reading is basically him giving speeches empowering his followers. when Winston Churchill, his speech, which is regarded as one of the greatest speeches of all time, I mean, that's whether it is or not, it's up to you. But yeah, he's saying we'll fight them on the beaches, we'll fight them on the hills. Yeah, it's rhetoric. It's trying to empower and galvanize a following. When he's using avertive apocalypticism, that was the way to do things back then. Yes, Jesus apparently used the same principle, so did Muhammad. They employed avertive apocalypticism, this idea that, if you don't get your act together, you're going to be sorry on the day of judgment because judgment is coming. So you have to consider these things as part of the historical reading. You have to consider that that he's apprehending, universal truths and is clothing them in symbolic language for a particular purpose. If anyone was to begin some kind of meta-analysis of Muhammad and his speeches, at the very least, you'd have to not be so erratic. You'd have to, read the research of people who are specialists in the field and appreciate that. And that's all. But if you just want to attack confessional believers, then yeah, go ahead. I mean, this idea that the Quran is all beautiful and it's all pure, it's just bullshit. It's not true at all. I mean, a lot of it is empowering his audience. They most likely were kicked out of Mecca because of this idea that he's challenging the status quo. So you need to look at it through the eyes of revolution. You need to look at it through the eyes of rhetoric and empowering people using intellectual accommodation and avertive apocalypticism and rhetoric. You need to approach it seriously. That's what I wanted to say. I didn't mean to upset you.
Let's go back to the Quran. Chapter 83. Woe to the defrauders, those who take full measure of what they buy from people, but give less than what they measure or buy for buyers. Do such people not think that they will be resurrected for a tremendous day? The day all people will stand before the Lord of all worlds? But no, the wicked are certainly bound for Sijin in the depths of hell. And what will make you realize what Sijin is? A fate already sealed. Woe on that day to the deniers, those who deny Judgment Day. None would deny it, except every evil-doing transgressor. When our revelations are recited to them, they say, oh, ancient fables. But no, in fact, their hearts have been stained by all the evil they used to commit. Undoubtedly, they will be sealed off from the Lord on that day. Moreover, they will surely burn in hell and be told, that is what they used to deny. But no, the virtuous are certainly bound for Iliyun in the elevated gardens. And what will make you realize what Iliyun is? A fate already sealed, witnessed by those nearest to Allah. Surely the virtuous will be in bliss, seated on canopied couches, gazing around. What you will recognize on their face, the glow of delight. They will be given a drink of sealed, pure wine, whose last sip will smell like musk. So whoever aspires to this, strive diligently. This drink's flavor will come from Tasneem, a spring from which the nearest to Allah will drink. Indeed, the wicked used to laugh at the believers, wink to one another whenever they passed by, and muse over those exploits upon returning to their own people. And when they saw the faithful, they would say, those people are truly astray, even though they were not sent as keepers over the believers. But on the day, the believers will be laughing at the disbelievers. As they sit on canopied couches looking on, the believers will be asked, oh, have the believers not been paid back for what they used to do? Again.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Amazing stuff. That was amazing.
A little maniacal with you sounded kind of crazy sometimes, but I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I don't think Muhammad would have spoke so effeminately, but that was a great speech.
What you need when you are dealing with 7th century Bedouins who will not give food to orphan and put their children away in sand
just because there's a drought crisis. Yeah, this is definitely what they needed.
He's looking at scamsters, fraudsters, bastards who are freaking wronging and wronging one another and creating like disharmony in the social order. And there he's teaching them human dignity. He's giving the same people money hungry fuckers. And he's saying, look, instead of these little freaking peanuts that you're collecting by being a fraudster, and you're seeing that your friend died yesterday, he's not going to be in that place where you think he is. He's going to be boiling in hell. In fact, now he's talking to a 7th century bloody fraudster by the side of the street. He's saying, instead, do you not want to sit on these brocade couches? Do you not want to be drinking wine? Do you not want to? And then he's got their attention in doing so. Now, whether this holds truth value or not, he's got the attention. And in that instance, he's saying, stop what you're doing. Because you saw your friend die yesterday, and he's not in a good place.
So yeah, I mean, look at this view. It's why it says not this cow worshipper. Yeah, how should one speak to this ignoramus? Like, you have to rough him up, you have to humiliate him, you have to destroy him, you have to use rhetoric, you have to get people to humiliate him in society, because he's not going to respond to intellect, is he? Just an ignoramus, racist, doesn't care about history. And that's how they should be treated. They should be roughed up a bit.
Listen, I'm open to the idea that if you have a bunch of uneducated Bedouins, you just need to scare them with heaven and hell and be really, really basic and simple. Okay? But then maybe that's not what should be taught to people living in Europe and America, and maybe maybe that's a message for Bedouins that are uneducated, and maybe when you're talking to first world Europeans and Americans, maybe a different book is more relevant for that audience.
Yeah, we should rough up Netanyahu in the same way, but probably harsher language, actually, with Netanyahu.
No, agreed.
And Zionist sympathizers.
But now you'd use like cause and effect. For every wrongdoing, there is going to be an effect. You're going to get caught sometime in the scam, and you're going to pay time behind bars. It's just a different language. We're different. You say being accountable pieces of shit. There is an ultimate reality. Ground everything in that. Just be true to yourselves. Work for the well-being of the collective. Because you're important. Because you're precious. Because
Well, Margaret, let me ask this.
that's what he's trying to say.
Yeah. But how do you suggest that we engage with many of the believers that we engage with here? It seems to be not a critique on you in like a nuanced way, who understands the context of history and things like that. But like, how do you push back against the literalists and the chauvinists that we encounter and we engage with and who are very vocal? What do we do?
Yeah, you have to support rationalist Muslims like Ilyas, like me, like Ahmed, because they're not going to. They're just going to say, "Well, you guys don't believe in God, and you guys are not circumcised, and you guys are kuffar." They're more likely going to respond to people like Ilyas, like myself, like Ahmed, who, as distant from their views as we are, we at least can ground it in epistemology and in Quranic texts and hadith. We can criticize their particular epistemology. We have a reverence and a veneration to Muhammad himself and the Quran. So the best thing to do is just support Ilyas and me and Ahmed, and particularly Ilyas's research, who's one of the leaders in critical history when it comes to the Quran and Muhammad, and also understanding his, his situation in 7th century Arabia. It's not going to work. Like, how many people have you realistically convinced when Sam is like reciting the Quran in a South Asian accent? I mean, it's just either you just want to entertain yourself. Entertainment is good. You're having no impact, zero impact. Just simply reciting like a white man. I'm half white, but a white man living in America. You're talking about how should we talk to European, intellectual Europeans. You're not even acting like an intellectual Westerner. You're acting like a racist from the 50s or the 60s. I watch old footage on YouTube of racist, 1960s stand-up comedians, putting on blackface, mocking, sub-Saharan Africans and South Asians. If you think that's still relevant or that's somehow intellectual, you just need to wake up, bro. You need to get out a bit more. You're not going to convince any Muslim at all. And Ilyas and I, we may have very little success too, but it's measured. We can actually measure because we see people coming to our side because of philosophy, because of history, because of understanding the Quran and its rhetoric and who Muhammad actually was, what he was actually trying to achieve, rather than these lofty claims that this is literally the word of God, which can never be demonstrated, there's no account for it, or that every syllable of the Quran is identical to the words that came out of Muhammad's mouth. Equally impossible to prove.
I think
Just one
arrogance
comment
with
now.
it.
Let me just make one brief comment. So I think it's a mistake to think of like seeing transformations in real time, like these big changes in worldview. I think that it's important to remember that what we endeavor to do is to make small incremental changes over time, and that, of course, this isn't going to be satisfying as seeing someone like, oh, okay, now I'm no longer like a Salafi, right? They have some more liberal understanding of their faith, some more nuanced understanding of their faith. I think that just what we endeavor to do is to just to make very small challenges and objections which move people in one way or the other gradually, and that we're part of some broader movement toward something you and I would consider to be like an optimal place to live for one another. So let's just accept our roles as like more minute and be less prideful.
Sure, yeah, and let's stop reciting the Quran in the South Asian accent if that's the goal.
I don't agree.
Like some South Asian music in the
I
background.
think that it was horrible.
And also, by the way,
Appreciate what it did.
how many people do you think you convinced in the last, 3 years on Clubhouse, like genuinely?
It's not about convincing people. That's like I've just stated. It's about
So
just.
what are the minute changes then? Like, what's the how do you measure it?
That's a good question. I don't think there's any way to measure it.
Well, one measure is to.
The obvious reason here is the motivation is not convincing people. The motivation is to have fun and to get entertained and to enjoy.
Yeah, if you
I mean,
actually.
let's be clear about that.
Yeah,
Why are
we
we
interested?
putting it up in some kind of garb or something? It's to humiliate people. It's to make fun of them. It's to have fun yourself. It's to feed your ego, and that's all fine. Why do we need to put it in any garb of intellectual honesty or? It's just fine. Just have fun. Just make fun of people. It's Clubhouse. It's okay.
Like Sam put effort into creating that document, right? That's probably a good step. I mean, he knows the document, but it probably works for most like low intellect traditionalist Muslims, right? Because it's fairly kind of bullet point, and you can promote a bit of conversation there. But just simply reading words with a South Asian accent or whatever accent, I mean, whatever. That's not the goal of the room. It's not to convince any people to appreciate nuance, right? So just be clear about your goals, I guess. Like, just be honest.
I disagree that all of it is just for entertainment. I mean, I've hung out with my friends enough to know that they are surely bedazzled as to why a literalist would say this is verbatim speech and this is directly from God and this is what God spoke through a literal angel in a literal cave, etc., etc. So the question here is mostly like, does God speak like this? Without like most literalists not giving enough historical like references or even the way we see it, right? So I think it is a reaction to that more than anything.
Yeah, and I would say like so Zebu and Sam, they had this room a few weeks ago, and it basically they were constructing a list of all the ways that you can tell if someone's smart. Just get that into one document if you haven't done already. Pin that, and then just get if you want to convince traditionalist Muslims, because it's really about how to think, right? How to abstract principles, how to abstract universals, how to think of alternative explanations, how to be open. Just go through that. That's probably going to be much more effective. However minute, right? It's going to be much more effective because now you can map to see if their particular view or their approach to a topic matches what is considered and generally understood to be smart. Those are really good examples. There was like a list of
It's not how to
like
think, moron.
40 or 50.
It's
They
understand and
reduced to about,
comprehension
like 8,
capabilities that make them
the
smart.
more you kind of expand on some of those, the more people can appreciate it. So just go with that. That's probably a better way.
I want to read you guys some, nowadays like academics are like politically correct. I want to read some sort of luminaries talking about the Quran and Islam before political correctness was a thing. This is Voltaire.
Matthew is offended
His book
in
is
the
bad
defense of
the
because
Quran.
Islam sucks. And
His book is bad for our times and for us, but it was very good for his contemporaries. And his religion was still better. It must be acknowledged that he reclaimed nearly the whole of Asia from idolatry. He taught the unity of God and forcibly disclaimed against those who gave him associates. He forbade usury with foreigners and commanded giving of alms. And with him, prayer was a thing of absolute necessity, and resignation to eternal decrees was the primum mobile of all. A religion so simple, so wise, taught by one who was constantly victorious, could hardly fail to subject a portion of the world.
I'm in love.
So that's him saying, it's not a
I'm
good
in
religion for
love
us,
with
but
you already.
it's done a lot of good for, bringing these, Asians from idolatry. Here's another one.
With you already.
Would read. He's a guy like, if Muhammad made converts by fire and sword, well, did Moses not also? Let us judge things by their results. So it's kind of saying like, listen, he used violence and bloodshed to spread his words, but he also made all these idolaters become theists. Good. But then there's another view which is like contrary to these thinkers, which is by Schopenhauer. Schopenhauer is one of the great philosophers of the Western tradition. Consider the Quran, for example. This wretched book was sufficient to start a world religion, to satisfy the metaphysical needs of countless millions for 1,200 years, become the basis of their morality and of a remarkable contempt for death, and also to inspire them to bloody wars and most extensive conquests. In this book, we find the saddest and the poorest form of theism. Much may be lost in translation, but I have not been able to discover in it a single idea of value. Such things show us that capacity for metaphysics does not go in hand with a need for it. So, they're all kind of pointing a picture to, the book is kind of simple, not the best book in the world, but, it's good for its time. It brought a lot of people out of, their idolatry, which fine, but that then means that we've transcended it. We no longer need it, and now it's time to move past it and maybe read a little Kant and John Stuart Mill, rather than reading Muhammad, who's just trying to get a bunch of savage Bedouins to stop killing their daughters.
Yeah, and that approach, look, some people
Oh,
need to be spoken to that way. If you take, for example, people in the audience like Snake or Uncle, they're simple. They're intellectually molested, so sometimes you need to speak to them much simpler.
It keeps its principles though, Sam. The principles continue to stay, even though the language might not
Islam
be
sucks
appetizing,
and the Quran sucks.
or might be for a 7th century veteran, and Christianity would hold the same weight. By the way, okay, Allah, I know what you're saying. So these commandments would kind of hold.
Sorry to kind of interrupt. I just want to say maybe that would help you out as well, not just.
Which one?
Would Goethe or Voltaire do any better if they were at that place?
A simpleton like Snake and Uncle would say yes.
Would John Stuart Mill?
Can you tell me maybe 3 things from Quran that are intellectually or spiritually insightful?
Would he even be able to convince 10 people?
Yeah, or would Plato be able to speak to that
maybe
large audience? Maybe not.
Maybe
I don't really understand that question.
maybe
You're asking if, like, a critical thinker like Voltaire could have survived the Islamic world or the pre-Islamic Arabic world? Like, why would that matter one or the other?
No, I'm asking the question that if we copied the psychometric profile of an individual like Voltaire or Goethe or John Stuart Mill and copied and pasted that psychometric profile in 7th century or 6th century Arabia that is affected by the drought crisis and the late antique cold ice age and all the social problems, what would be their cumulative effect on the human well-being in that particular situation?
I don't know. You tell me.
Well, you don't know. Anybody else?
You posited the question. Give the answer you want and explain its import, please.
I posited the question.
Probably not, yes.
No, I'm saying if you ask the question, there's some kind of like a proper answer that'll lead to the point you're trying to make. Could you give that answer and get to the point?
No, he's telling you that those are the kind of considerations you'd have to map out.
If to what end? Why would I need to check the psychometric profile of Voltaire and imagine it surviving 6th century Arabia? Why would I be doing that?
That's the only way that if you're saying Voltaire is a critical thinker, well, he's not critical enough if he's just judging history based on text without context. I'm not going to go to Voltaire to understand the psychometric profile of Muhammad. Like, why would I go to him for that?
I wouldn't. I don't know why we're discussing
that's relevant to
Voltaire's psychometric profile.
Yeah, someone's passing a value judgment on Muhammad and his movement.
Right, after reading his writings.
Yeah, that's not enough. That's the point. That's what Elias is trying to get.
That's what a literary critic does, dude.
No. The literary critic is ignoring. Is not the person. Is not the expert to look at the psychometric profile of someone living in 7th century Arabia.
Listen, he's a critic of literature. He could do the same with Beowulf.
Yeah, so he's making the claim.
With the Homers, the Iliad, the Odyssey.
Even if Voltaire,
Gilgamesh, you can criticize any literature.
Yeah, because he's reading the Quran as though it's a book. That's the problem.
Even if Voltaire is correct that we need that Muhammad was what was needed at the time, that doesn't mean that he's what's needed at our time. So maybe different prophets, different strategies, different amounts of coercion are needed at different times in history. But that doesn't tell us that the Quran and Islam is helpful today. It just tells us that it was helpful then. That Muhammad was doing something good then in the 7th century. But then
you're completely ignoring other schools of thought, though, that have been wrestling with these issues. You're just ignoring it. You're going from literalist Islam to then all of these like Western thinkers, and you're dismissing all these other schools of thought that have been putting work into articulating this.
Such as?
What do you mean, such as?
Give an example. Like the schools that Sam should be focusing on.
The multiple Shia traditions that exist. That
okay, Sam, have you spoken with Shia?
Why are you fucking interrupting me?
Well, I think your claim that Sam has not investigated any of the Shiite schools is a little strange. You're saying all the Shiite, if you were to talk to, he'd be fine with.
Oh my god. So, basically, there's probably some hunter-gatherer warlord that lived in 10,000 BC who was a savage cannibal, but he was very successful at stopping his tribe from getting slaughtered by other savage cannibals. And was a successful leader. And he's probably good for his time, that we needed some sort of savage barbarian to stop his tribe from getting eaten by other savage tribes. That doesn't mean today we should listen to that guy. So, someone being contextually useful doesn't tell us that we should still listen to them or find them interesting or important. It might be the case that Goethe and Mill are not useful in the 7th century context, but then likewise, maybe it's not relevant to us.
And was he relevant
I think it kind of still is, Sam, because there are parts of the world where Muslims do act in very barbaric ways, so it is helping to a certain extent to keep a standard in those parts of the world. It could be better, it could be influenced by things as well, but it's not totally useless. Like, it's telling people not to bury their daughter. Right? They could still benefit from that in some places in the world where they may still do that. For example, in India, they bury their daughters, they kill their daughters out of poverty so that they don't have to pay the dowry because they can't afford to, right? So these messages are still useful and beneficial in a universal sense to a certain extent. Obviously, a lot of it is contextual and time specific to the primary audience. But I think that even earlier when we were reading it together, that was very beautiful. I was meditating over some of those words. It's not all war, violence, and burning and the hellfire. You guys have been sitting here reading it. There's some very beautiful things that people can meditate over and wisdoms and things that are universal principles.
I am really pissed off right now because I have been sitting in this room with Sam having these conversations with people, and I understand that there's like an ethnographic value to this discussion.
My autistic Down syndrome vaccinated dog could urinate on a pee-pee pad and it would be as beneficial as the genocidal terrorist philosophy of Muhammad.
But when I say something and I'm giving legitimate critique, I'm getting interrupted and no one's asking people to stop interrupting me.
Move them down.
Yes, but at the same time, like, have my back. Like, I'm giving you a positive critique. I'm saying that you're jumping around, and there are other schools of thought that you have skimmed the surface of, but you haven't really gone into that much. And I know that because I'm like in the room with you. So I understand you're reading other things and you're exploring other things, but there are seriously other schools of thought, including what Matthew's talking about, including what Nargis has shared with you many times. There's more out there, and it's not to take away. Like, I love the fact that you're reading the Quran to like rap music. I'm not going to stop you from doing that. I personally am not offended by that, but I do think it's worthwhile to understand that there is a long history of scholarship to understand how the Quran can be relevant now. What is it? What's the context of it? What's the historical evolution of the text over time? And if that's something you want to pursue, then do that before just jumping around to these random thinkers. It's not to say that what they say isn't of value in the sense of, oh wow, look at what these other ignorant people have said about Islam. But there are educated people who've been putting a lot of effort into understanding this. I don't know why that is not like considered a valuable exercise, and also addressing the ways that we can change perceptions or provide understanding or create opportunities for unity and cooperation. I think that's valid, and I think I'm valid for saying that, Exed. I'm having these conversations. I'm in the room. I'm here all the time.
Well, I really apologize for not getting your back, but also just if anyone's interrupting you, you have full license to move anyone down at any time to interrupt you. That's the rules of it. Anyway, but I want to read some more Quran, just for this room. When the sky bursts open, obeying its Lord as it must, and when the earth is flattened out and ejects all its contents and becomes empty, obeying its Lord as it must, surely you will be all judged.
All humanity, indeed you are laboring restlessly towards your Lord, and will eventually meet the consequences. As for those who are given their record in their right hand, they will have an easy reckoning. They will return to their people joyfully. And for those who are given the record in their left hand from behind their backs, they will cry for instant destruction, and will burn in blazing fire. For they used to be prideful among their people, thinking they would never return to Allah. Yes, they would. Surely their Lord has always been all-seeing of them. So I swear by the twilight, and by the night, and whatever it envelops, and by the moon when it waxes full,
I can feel
you
how
will certainly pass from one state to another. So what is the matter with them that do not believe? And when the Quran is recited to them, do they not bow down in submission? In fact, the disbelievers persist in denial, but Allah knows best whatever they hide. So then give them good news of painful punishment. But those who believe and do good will have a never-ending reward. Okay.
more hellfire threats. Very nice.
Yeah. Could I add something? Muhammad might have contributed something to converting the pagans in Arabia, but what was the necessity of converting the Christians in Egypt and Syria, Lebanon?
Just the profession.
You know, that's the problem.
To continue the Jesus' project, because Jesus was a failed prophet, so Muhammad had to take
really beautiful.
Take the baton.
Okay.
So you're saying Islam's success relies upon the failure of the church?
Not relies on, but it can be explained by that, right? He wouldn't have been as successful probably if Christians were more united.
Actually, I was just reading Hilaire Balak. He's saying that actually unification had just happened. There had been a great unification happening right at that time, and all of a sudden Muhammad appeared.
So people think Jesus is better or something?
No, I'm just saying, what is
the illiterate Jew is better than the literate Arab?
Say again? The illiterate failed Jewish man who was crucified 2 years into his ministry is better than a very educated Arab synthesizer? Well, if the initial impetus was to convert the pagans, and Muhammad recognized the legitimacy. Well, the initial impetus was not to convert anyone. It was to face a drought crisis and to make people give other people food. All the initial Quran is about giving people food. Well, it has it has a belief in a one God. Well, even that comes in later. All the early Quran is about giving people food. Early, which is early? The later, I heard that they reversed the. Yes. So if you read it from the reverse, the earlier surahs are about giving people food. The main message is about helping people.
Yeah, exactly. And he was successful at that, well.
Well, that's as far as we know, yeah. I don't see, there's no comparison between a clearly educated man like Muhammad and the illiterate Jew, the failed prophet that Jesus was. I mean, there's just no comparison. Like, this is not even like beginning. Right? Jesus was nothing but a failed, illiterate, Jewish, messianic leader. That's all that's worth. Who failed in like 2-3 years, and who clearly had like ahistorical and clearly apocalyptic notions that failed in the very first iteration. Well, the church the church he that he didn't establish any church. There's no evidence. Well, I'm not going to argue the theology of that. I'm just saying. No, that's no theology. That's just the critical historical. Okay. Well, I thought we were talking about the value of earlier. A few minutes ago, we were talking about the value of what he did.
Oh my
in his
God,
area,
it's shit
and then he moved
water.
into other areas who already had a belief in monotheistic belief.
I don't know
You're saying that.
I don't know how you can call someone who has the most followers of anyone on earth a failed prophet.
How's that relevant?
I would say the measurement of how good of a prophet you are is how many followers you get.
Definitely not. What's the argument for that?
Well,
I need substantiation for that claim. He says it's failed because he was killed.
Seems like a nice standard
Oh,
estimate.
No.
Like, okay,
By failed.
like,
By failed.
Was he a failed prophet?
Yeah, like.
Yeah. By failed, I mean his central prophecy of his return was obviously false.
The death and resurrection.
Yeah, his second coming. His
followers seem to think that he died and came back. That was like a prophecy, no?
No. He had a particular teaching that is not the resurrection. The second coming is going to be in the immediate generation. That certainly did not happen. Right? This is like the academic consensus. There's a large majority of
critical historians agree that one of the primary prophecies of Jesus was that he's going to come back in the immediate generation. That obviously did not happen. So
the primary prophecy was his resurrection. He did predict that.
No, the resurrection is actually not mentioned in any primary text.
Yes,
Which text mentions the resurrection as a prophecy?
That you destroy this temple and it will be rebuilt in 3 days.
That's a prophecy for second coming.
Yes. No, his resurrection, his own resurrection.
Could you cite a critical historical study on that?
I think a plausible analysis of what it means to be a successful prophet or to be a failed prophet either fails to get followers or that his message is fundamentally changed. So I think a plausible account of how he failed as a prophet is that Paul changed his teachings. But I don't think you're saying that that's just because Paul changed his teachings that he's a failed prophet. I think you're saying
I just called him a failed prophet because of his fundamental prophecy being false.
I don't think having a short lifetime is like what we should measure success with someone. If you're trying to spread a message, it seems like how good you are at spreading the message is a better measurement.
I would agree with you
than your lifespan.
That you could measure a prophet on whether or not his prediction failed, but I would also say that your personal judgment on whether or not his prophecy came true has to be weighed against all of the followers who probably believe that his prophecies did come true. Which is why we would then go to the objective, quantifiable measure who has more followers.
Right? Shouting is not going to change anything.
Yeah, because you don't have to interrupt. You could just wait until I finished.
Shouting is not going to change anything.
Right. The point is still made.
And the presuppositional opinions of the followers obviously do not matter. The subject matter authorities here are critical historians of antiquity, or the particular time of Jesus of Nazareth, and the vast majority of critical scholarship agrees on the fact that one of his prophecies, one of his central prophecies, was his second coming in the immediate generation. That was something that did not prove to be true. And I don't understand how you're positing that somebody's worth is going to be judged by the actions and the genius of somebody else coming in and reinstating something into imperial power and then spreading it. That's absolutely and completely irrelevant to what that person taught or what they were working with. That's like,
okay, so I'll explain.
Just let me finish.
Oh, I thought you were
you can explain. Okay. You can explain once I finish. What matters is what was the immediate effect of the person. When Jesus passed away, what was the state of the so-called nascent Christian community? How many Christians were there? What was their belief? And what were they believing? And what was their theology? And how did their theology positively or negatively affect the world? These are going to be the relevant questions. The relevant question is not going to be, well, what happened with the presupposed attributed anachronistic message 500 years later when it was consolidated in a new imperial structure? That's definitely not a relevant data point about the psychometric profile or the effect of that particular individual. Like, you're just making up criteria at this point.
Well, any criteria that you're going to assess someone is going to be some made-up criteria, because it turns out criteria for success are not like written into the laws of physics, but rather come up to agents for deciding what sort of things matter to them. And I think that, what matters to me for whether a prophet's successful is, did his ideas spread and did people follow his ideas?
Seems like a reasonable metric.
I think that's like probably and in fact, I would bet money that if I just asked people on the street that, what does it mean for a prophet to be successful? It's like, well, is it more that he got his ideas out? Like, I think, him making a false prophecy is for sure one metric by which he could be a failed prophet. But I think it's probably less central to people's conception of being a successful prophet. Like, I think if you'd ask most people, was Lao Tzu, Confucius, Buddha, Jesus, were they successful? People are like, yeah, they have millions of followers. Yes, they were successful in what they were up to.
Yeah, so what you're really describing is he was successful at kind of secondary, tertiary influence, but the fact that he prophesied the second coming, that would be relevant. So you can say that no, these are constructed. I mean, yeah, language is constructed. So what's the relevance of that? He was obviously a failed prophet if his central prophecy was about his immediate second coming.
His idea.
You can say he was a successful something else, but he wasn't a successful prophet.
I mean, you could say that also about Islam, Seventh-day Adventists.
The success of his prophecy.
He was a messiah, not a
Mormonism.
He was a messiah, not a prophet.
Wait, but the second coming, like, isn't it supposed to still be coming? Like, I don't get it.
Right. It's a prophecy that's yet to be fulfilled, so they're just grasping at that and claiming that it's a failure.
It's been coming for a while. For a long.
But the same thing was said about Muhammad.
Yeah.
He prophesied something that didn't come true shortly after his death.
Yeah, but I don't think the term prophet, like the very English word.
That's not true, Mixed.
Just a minute, what did he predict? What was his prophecy?
I don't think the bare word prophet in English like means specifically a person who prophesizes, right? Like it's just something like, I don't know, a person who like is a herald of like God or something, right? Who's delivering a message, not necessarily only prophecies.
Like a messiah.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, if the thing, but I suppose you could say that to the extent that the message that the prophet is delivering are prophecies that don't come true. I mean, that does seem like, like taking away from his success criteria.
Yeah, the thing is, we have a methodological question here. The question is, we are trying to identify the particular characteristics of the human being, right? The individual the individual. Yeah, one of very far-fetched criteria could be, what was their secondary influence? Yeah, that could have some correlation. But the question is, how well does that map onto the greatness profile of the person as an individual itself? Right? Because, secondary influence can be mediated by numerous factors that have nothing to do or very little to do with the individual individual, right? So if you want to assess the individual co-individual and to assess their genius, you need to look at characteristics that are most exactly or most highly or most strongly mapped onto their own particular personality, right? Which is going to be like an analysis of their own particular teachings and their primary intentionalities reconstructed through a critical historical framework, which is going to be their relevant psychometric profile, which can be a reconstruction of their knowledge in comparison to how far off or how many standard deviations off it is from the mean of that particular society. So these are things that are much more likely to be actually correlated with the mapping of greatness in the individual co-individual itself. Not how much secondary influence the person gets like 5 centuries later because of like tertiary causal mechanisms like imperial reconstruction or adoption or so many other things. Let's say it like that. An obscure figure from today, gets appropriated. Like, let's just take some European philosopher we don't even care about. Let's take Merleau-Ponty, for example. Like, we don't really care about Merleau-Ponty that much. But it just happens to be the case that Merleau-Ponty gets appropriated by this future empire that's going to be a world power. Let's just call them United States of Africa. And they're going to just appropriate Merleau-Ponty. Is that going to be a fundamental marker of Merleau-Ponty's genius? Would that make Merleau-Ponty more erudite or more exceptional than Nietzsche or Heidegger or Gibson or many of his contemporaries? Well, any rational person would say, I don't think so. The more appropriate way would be to actually critically, historically analyze them in their own context, and then try to understand and rate the individual co-individual and make the judgment based on that. And that's what I was trying to do. Like, when you do that, Muhammad and Jesus, but bro, there's no comparison. There's no comparison at all. Like, when you read the Gospels, they barely have.
It might make no sense to you.
What is written in the Gospel? What is even the fundamental message in the Gospel?
You just don't
There's no artistic quality. Yeah, there's no artistic quality in the Gospel. Obviously,
what's the fundamental message of the Quran?
Word of Jesus. The ministry of Jesus barely like 3-4 years long.
Submission.
His fundamental prophecy fails.
Submit to
So
Allah,
if you wanna come up with actual criteria, then let's come up with actual criteria and then develop a comparative analysis between Jesus and Muhammad. So for anyone who tries to engage with it, please come up with an actual criteria as to how we should judge between these two.
I think what Sam was saying, I actually don't think it's kind of reasonable to say that, like, if the role of a prophet, right, is to spread a particular message, whatever that message might be, prophecy or otherwise, like moral stricture, right? Yeah, the extent to which his teachings are adopted, of course, have to be central to the success criteria. I mean, the other one would be something like whether, like, of course, like if, like a religion is constructed in his name, but the teachings of that religion are like completely antithetical to what he believed, right, that he was communicating, then that would be like a colossal failure as well. But if the message is true and it's like widely adopted, yeah, that would be, definitionally like success criteria for the prophet. I mean, that's nothing more complicated than that.
I want to keep reading the Quran. By the sky full of constellations, and the promised day of judgment, and the witness, what is witness? Condemned are the makers of the ditch, the fire pit, filled with fuel, when they sat around it, watching what they had ordered to be done to believers, who they resented for no reason other than belief in Allah, Almighty and praiseworthy, the one to whom belongs the kingdom of heaven and earth, and as witness over all things. Those who persecute the believing men and women and do not repent will certainly suffer the punishment of hell and the torment of burning. Surely those who believe and do good will have gardens under which rivers flow. That is the greatest triumph. Indeed, the crushing grip of your Lord is severe, for he is certainly the one who originates
speaking
and
against
resurrects
genocide.
all. And he is the all-forgiving, all-loving, Lord of the throne, all-glorious, doer of whatever he wills. Has the story of the destroyed forces reached you, O prophet? The forces of Pharaoh and Tammuz? Yet the disbelievers still persist in denial, but Allah encompasses them from all sides. In fact, this is a glorious Quran, recorded in a preserved tablet.
Brilliant, Masha. This is Prophet Muhammad speaking against the genocide of Christians by the Jewish king Zunawaz, who was the manifestation of Bibi Netanyahu back in 500s. So this was a very famous event that was spread across all of late antiquity, and Zunawaz killed many innocent Christians just for practicing their faith and believing in one God. And this is Muhammad teaching against that genocide and telling people that, yeah, just because people are evil in the hereafter. That's a brilliant thing.
Can we talk about John Lee now?
No, thank you.
So this Quran was predicting the genocide in Gaza?
Not predicting. It was arguing against the genocide that was happening.
But it foretold the genocide.
No, not foretold. It just happens to be the case that you keep getting Jewish figures in power who keep on killing innocent people. I mean, that is a question you should be asking yourself, I guess.
By the heaven and the nightly star, and what will make you realize what the nightly star is? It is the star of piercing brightness. There is no soul without a vigilant angel recording everything. Let people then consider what they were created from. They were created from a spurting fluid, stemmed from between the backbone and the rib cage. Surely, he is fully capable of bringing them back to life. On the day, all secrets will be disclosed. Then one will have neither power nor any helper. By the sky with its recurring cycles, and the earth with its sprouting plants, surely this Quran is a decisive word, and is not to be taken lightly. They are certainly devising evil plans, But I too am planning. So bear with the disbelievers, O prophet. Let them be for just a little while.
This is prophet talking about the star Sirius, which was a fundamental star for the Arabian Peninsula that caused the drought. So this is prophet telling people that even in a drought crisis, the kuffar, the people who bury children alive or who take their young daughters and put them in the desert because they think they're gonna die because of the drought crisis. This is the prophet telling them, yeah, I am establishing a soteriology which is going to establish the consequences of your actions, if not in this world, in the hereafter, and therefore you should listen to me and not kill these children, these innocent children, just because you think you're going to run out of food. In kullu nafsin lamma alayha hafiz, for every person is a protector on their own nature. So do not be afraid. Do not be afraid that you're going to be killed by this drought crisis. Just put your trust in God and do not kill these young children. Do not kill these innocent children. You will have enough food. And those who do not believe in this message and who think their actions do not have any consequences, be known that there is a soteriology and your actions will have consequences, even if not in this world, in the hereafter. And those of you who are keeping their food and keeping them in their supplies and not sharing, la'natullahi alaykum, share it with people and do not kill other people. This is once again brilliant rhetoric. None of it can be seen by Jesus.
My goodness. Well, yeah, he doesn't spell everything out in detail, but Christians didn't believe in killing the innocent. He's not telling them anything new. It's just that Muhammad spelled out.
He's not talking to Christians here. He's talking to pagans.
I know, but you're saying the benefit of, you're saying he added what you just said. Jesus didn't say anything like that. But do you think that maybe he didn't need to because the Jews weren't doing that?
I mean, they literally crucified him.
They weren't burying their children.
I don't understand.
The Romans crucified him.
How does a Sunni traditionalist handle the idea that says God does planning? Like, how does a being outside of time plan things? Doesn't he just have things like a plan is a thing where you have an idea in your mind and then you set it forth into motion diachronically. But if you just are outside of time and then your will is instant, how does anything get planned ever? It just seems like it's instantaneous. I feel like that's like a weird, conceptually weird for how does this traditionally Sunni think about work? Like how does
out of the three books, the Old Testament and the New Testament and the Quran, the worst one, the most diabolical, nonsensical, genocidal, evil, irrational work is Old Testament. The second number goes to the New Testament, and the best one is the Quran.
That's interesting. Very interesting.
Wait, what's the criteria for the second?
Please, Deepak, answer my question. Thank you.
I mean, I think even Christian theologians have some concept of God. He's outside time, but there is some sort of logical ordering to his actions, right? I forgot the exact term, but there is a sort of dependency relation in the choices he makes, right? So he orders the fall before he orders the redemption, and that before relation
I would love to see my old
understood to be
new
a
clients
dependency
and everyone I know tonight at the rebar.
Just be metaphorical, and it's that's not really some interesting line to talk about. What's the criteria for the New Testament? The Quran being better than the New Testament? It's newer.
Yeah, you tell me any intuitive criteria, and then we can just put the text on it.
The New Testament's much more merciful. The Quran has cutting off feet of people and crucifying them. Jesus doesn't have anything about crucifying people and cutting off their feet.
Oh yeah, that's simply not true. Because in the earliest layers of the New Testament, there is a clear application and acceptance of the Old Testament law. That's critical.
That's a sleight of hand, though. Wait.
That's not a sleight of hand at all.
You're saying they come as a tandem, then?
Yeah, they do. I mean, that's the critical historical. That's the critical historical consensus. Are you just going to deny that? Are you just going to deny? Are you just going to deny the fact that Jesus? We are talking.
Jesus Christ.
He's not gonna answer. He doesn't have an answer. He cannot defend. There is no way. I mean, I just asked you guys about the criteria of actually judging.
Shut up and let him answer you.
He's not going to answer because I'm not going to shut up long enough for him to answer because I'm going to keep
Yeah,
talking.
of course, I'm not gonna shut up because you guys don't have any
You're
criteria.
not answering. Is that like I don't even know there was a question. I was saying something and you what's going on? You asked a question.
Well, yeah, like he just cut you off and everything. That's what he's doing.
But what's the question? I don't even. What's the question?
You said that there was a slight
Yeah,
hand
the question
present
is.
in the New Testament.
Yeah,
and Old
the
Testament.
fundamental
You
question is
explain
we're
why
trying to.
is that a hand?
Fundamental question is this room is just fundamentally against Islam, nothing else. If you guys actually cared about finding out who these personalities
When he
were,
gets
what
to
were
the
their
point,
names,
motherfucker!
what was their context, we would actually go through all of them and we will actually engage with that. But you are housing Christians on stage, and there seems to be no problem with traditionalist Christians. There seems to be no problem with traditionalist Jews. There just seems to be problem with just Muslims. So yeah, obviously there's a bias at play here. When I asked a question about, well, how are you going to judge?
They get cooked.
Yeah, exactly.
Muslim.
Right, but can we look? So your question was what was your question that you felt was?
Yeah, so my fundamental question was we want to engage with this question of let's at a very baseline question we can engage with.
Did you forget the question you asked me that you said I didn't answer? Because I don't think this is what.
No, not just you. The whole room didn't answer. I don't know if you heard the question or not.
No, I don't think I did. But I'm saying what I just asked was that is your point that like the Bible and the Old Testament, and the New Testament, they come as a package, and then the Quran. So what we're actually comparing is Quran versus Old and New Testament.
Well, if you have a critical historical reading of the New Testament, yes.
So what's the question that you keep saying nobody answered?
The question
can
is.
You lay it out in like one sentence or two sentences?
Yes. What are the relevant criteria for judging the greatness or the genius or the moral clarity of a person, of an individual, qua an individual? What are these criteria going to be? And then we can go on and apply both of them or all the set of this criteria to Jesus and Muhammad and then come up with some sort of
Shut the fuck up, bro. We heard
I
this.
Wow, that actually was 2 sentences. Congratulations.
Yeah. So my understanding is you're saying something like, tell me what makes a person a good person. Is that what you're saying?
No, great person.
A great. Okay. What is that? What you're asking?
Dumb it down. You have to dumb it down for these people.
Are you just asking? I'm just trying to boil it down. Are you trying to say what are the qualities that a good person has, and we should lay those out first? Is that what you're saying?
So here's some things that are in the Quran that I think are morally bad that don't exist in the New Testament. So hitting of wives is the final step to disobedient wives, sex with female slaves, cutting off hands and feet, crucifixion, killing polytheists wherever you find them, marriage. I don't know if you know this, Ahmad, but there's just no interruption. That's allowed in my room. Crucifixion, killing polytheists wherever you find them, giving women women's testimony is worth half of men in financial matters, marriage and divorce of girls who haven't yet menstruated. The idea that someone can be killed for things they'll do in the future with the Khidr story, where he gets killed for what he'll do in the future, which is a bad precedent for how we should treat justice. Shunning people for being bastards, comparing women to farmland. All these are sort of like pretty evil and not in Christendom, or not in the New Testament.
Oh, okay. Amazing.
Also,
yeah. 1 minute. Deepak bhai, इंतजार करो ना जरा, खत्म करना. The relevant question here is not whether it's in the New Testament or not. Can you give some evidence that the historical Jesus did not hold to these values? Because the earlier 1 minute.
That's a shifting of the burden. You're just shifting the burden.
No, I'm not shifting the burden. If you're going to let me finish. Yeah, because the vast majority of critical historical scholars agree that the earliest representation of Jesus' teaching, none of those earliest representation include the violation of the suspension of the Judaic law. And
Yes,
all
there's
these
one.
things, one, let me
Divorce.
finish, let me finish,
Divorce.
let me finish, let me finish. And nearly or all of these values, and even worse, are part of the traditional Judaic law. So can you bring any? Let me finish. Let me finish.
Okay,
Let
so
me finish.
Don has a
Let me
law to
finish.
not
I mean,
Why are
dude,
you
all
guys
you do is
tweaking?
compare
Why are you
absolute
guys tweaking
diaries
so
of the
much?
Quran, and you will see how
One second,
stupid
guys.
Muhammad
Sam has
is.
this condition that nobody interjects because it creates anxiety. So let's
That's
not
not the other
interject.
reason, but this is just like straightforwardly a motivated.
Okay, let him
You're
finish.
saying the New Testament, or
You
you
can
mean the
refute
Old
him. I'm
Testament?
still
Yeah, I
speaking.
don't care about the New. I care about the historical Jesus. I don't know why you're obsessed with the New Testament. Yeah. So can anyone? Yeah. So what is the evidence that the historical Jesus, who by the way was a Jew, did not hold to these values? Yeah, historical Muhammad did. What's the evidence that historical Jesus did not? For all intents and purposes, we have no evidence that he did not.
This is bizarre. This is bizarre.
How is that bizarre? Anyway, Ma'as-salama, you guys are not interested in truth. You guys are
Ma'as-salama.
Islamophobia, la'natullahi alayhim ajmain. Fuck all of you. You are just interested in Islamophobia. You're gonna make
You crashed out.
He's still a Calvinist. He never changed it. He's always been a Calvinist. Ron is like a little bitch.
Yeah, that's what you guys are good for. You guys are all
Wait, did Elijah run this? No, did Elijah
bullshitters on Clubhouse that have all been molested, traumatized by.
The fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, fuck you. Fuck your Jesus Christ as well. Fuck your Mary.
Just move this guy down, bro. What's going on? Just move this guy down.
It was so funny that Timothy was trying to answer his question, and as soon as he was trying to answer his question, he's like, "You can't answer my question. You're just on the phone."
Stop fucking talking over each other.
I want to talk, Sam. These two bullshitters, are the most intellectually dishonest people on Clubhouse. They think that Khomeini is the great leader. They worship and condone murderous thugs like Khomeini, and they all hide it and disguise it under some sort of pseudo-rationalist
Khomeini was
being Muslims. Yeah, and they refer to the historical critical method. Yeah, but they're totally unwilling to use it, like most Muslims. Totally unwilling to even think for a moment what an application of that method would mean for their sources and their religion. So fucking dishonest, and then pretending to be rationalist about it. Such bullshitters.
Hey, we can move on now, jeez.
Deepak and Timothy, but you wanted to say something about his remarks, and I was curious both about Deepak and Timothy's comments before Ilya spazzed.
I thought it was like, isn't it? I don't know nearly enough, but it seemed like no one was gonna. But like, I thought that was the whole point about Paul and why people are critical of Paul. That like, Paul did say that they were gonna like change like the law or like make amendments or abrogations. I don't know. Isn't that like the general gist of it? Like Paul saying that like they're gonna differ in terms of like how they practice their religion from the Jews.
I thought the stuff we don't like in the Old Testament is like ceremonial law or something like that, right? Isn't that the Christian position?
Also, he changed from Islam to Islam and Christianity to the historical Jesus versus the historical Muhammad, which is just an obvious just switch of the topic. But what's funny is he goes, "Give me any evidence that the historical Jesus didn't believe the ancient Yahweh stuff," which
he was baptized by John the Baptist, who was in a scene that rejected temple law.
Yes, just some context. You were trying to stop this
Yeah, I just want to say, your book, The Quran by Muhammad, sucks. You guys should go read Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching, and then you can learn about philosophy and God as opposed to murderous, genocidal terrorism and creating revolutions to go fight Christians. Go join a book club, Read a couple more books instead of just one book, and then you might become intelligent enough to realize how stupid you were prior to reading more books. Thank you very little.
Yeah, I'm like, you're a stupid ass. I've actually read the book by that too, and I've read your fucking useless, nonsensical, diabolical, evil, masturbatory book as well, which is much worse than anything any human could ever come with. So why don't you put that Canaanite law of yours in your ass and go fuck yourself somewhere?
The thing is, that was pretty accurate. That's the bad thing about it. It was a roast, but it was pretty accurate.
Question him on the like why the New Testament ranks behind the Quran. He goes like, oh, because it affirms the Old Testament. Like you're just saying the Old Testament's better than the Quran. Like, why?
Yeah, but you don't know much about it, Timothy. So he's well read, and it's frustrating for him. For people who are just like biased, most of the stage is just biased, although they're atheists.
He was a bit like, I don't know what
It smells of indoctrination.
I don't know why
that they are dishonest bullshit doesn't change
Just
that.
because like he brought up something about
I like Matthew. Andre Matthew's good. Elias is
I like
a bit immature.
No. Matthew's just hiding it behind a British accent and a sort of claim that he's a rationalist and it all makes sense the way he presents it. It's all pseudo-rationalizing. Like any religious person, including Christians, who think that their religion is rational, they've got another thing coming.
We've got a replacement lolcow for Elias, everyone.
No, come on. No, hey, not too much on Andre, baby.
Yeah, but Andre is also biased about Jesus Christ, so God forbid if anything is said about Jesus Christ.
I listen to a
it looks like Zambi's upset by what happened, but Elias was being insanely dishonest.
Every day.
Dishonest about what?
But Nargis, unlike your Muslim brothers, because now my Nadir Matahari friend, you're again, switching sides as you usually do. Unlike them, I am willing to accept and look at the criticism of my religion, at the historical critical method. Yeah. What I see with Muslims is they're leeching on research done by actual Christians about their religion and are completely and utterly unwilling to look at their hadith, their Quran in the same way, in an honest way. Complete lack of that. Yeah? They're sponging and leeching on the academic standards we have developed in the Christian West, and they're unwilling to apply it to their own religion. And that most Muslim countries, missed out on the industrialization, are now still in tatters. It has very much to do with that fact of constant self-radicalization, alpha male demeanor, and unwillingness to actually do some real thought work for themselves, on their own religion, on their own countries, on their situation. It's always blaming others. It's always the Dawaganda we're treated to here every day. I'm so sick and tired of it.
Yeah, I don't support that. I've never supported that. But they're not, but Andre, in all truth, like, they don't give a shit about, like, traditionalism or whatever research done on, hadith or whatever. Like, it doesn't, they're coming from a different stance. Yeah, of course they'll have, like, critical views too, but I do agree, like, one doesn't have to show the falsity of one to assert the truth of another.
I want to read some more Quran. Glorify the name of your Lord,
But
Most
yeah,
High.
you are biased. They're right in that, but even a broken clock.
I'm literally just reading the
right twice a day.
Yeah, true. So true.
Glorify the name of your Lord Most High, who created and perfectly fashioned all, who ordained precisely and inspired accordingly, who brings forth green pasture, then reduces it to withered chaff. We will have you recite the Quran, O Prophet, so that you will not forget any of it. And Allah, unless Allah wills otherwise, He surely knows what is open and what is hidden. We will facilitate for you the way of ease. So always remind with the Quran. Even if the reminder is beneficial only to some, those in awe of Allah will be mindful of it. But it will be shunned by the most wretched, who will burn in the greatest fire, where will there not be able to live or die. Successes indeed are those who purify themselves, remember the name of their Lord and pray. But your deniers only prefer the life of this world, even though the hereafter is far better and more lasting. This is certainly mentioned in the earlier scriptures, the scriptures of Abraham and Moses. I don't think I've read one single surah. I've read from chapter 50, and I'm all the way up to 87 now, where they didn't mention the burning of unbelievers. I don't think I've come to a single surah that hasn't brought it up. It's kind of unbelievable.
So, inspired by Sam, I would also like to do a short reading from one of the most inspirational, greatest pieces of literature the world has seen. That Sam I am, that Sam I am. I do not like that Sam I am. Would you like green eggs and ham? I do not like them, Sam I am. I do not like green eggs and ham. Would you like them here or there? I would not like them here or there. I would not like them anywhere. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am.
That was well said, Deepak. Well said.
It's so deep. Thank you very much for sharing.
Yo, 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 yo. I do not like them in a house. I do not like them with a mouse. I do not like them here or there. I do not like them anywhere. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. Would you eat them in a box? Would you eat them with a fox? Not in a box, not with a fox, not in the house, not with a mouse. I would not eat them here or there. I would not eat them anywhere. I would not eat green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. Would you, could you in the car? Eat them, here they are. I would not, could not in the car. You may like them, you will see. You may like them in a tree. I would not, could not in a tree. Not a car, you let me be. Back to the Quran.
Oh my God, you're obsessed. You're obsessed with the Quran.
I told someone, I gave my word that if they read my document, that I would read a whole bunch of chapters of the Quran. So I'm just trying to get my
Andre,
follow my word. You know, like what's the?
He said.
I thought he wanted a man to give his word.
Nargis, at the beginning of this room, I don't know if you remember, he said he's a man of his word.
he is. Andre, do you know who he gave his word to? Rashad.
Hey, are y'all even reading it in order?
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
But I started at
What are you up to now, Sam?
88. Has the news of the overwhelming event reached you, O Prophet? Oh, on that day, some faces will be downcast, totally overburdened, exhausted, burning in a scorching fire. Left to drink from a scalding spring, they will have no food except a foul, thorny shrub, neither nourishing nor satisfying hunger. On that day, all their faces will be glowing with bliss, fully pleased with their striving, in an elevated garden where no idle talk will be heard. It will be like a running spring, along with thrones raised high, cups set at hand, and fine cushions lined up, and splendid carpets laid out. Do they ever reflect on camels? How masterfully they were created? In the sky, how it was raised high? And the mountains, how they were firmly set up? And the earth, how it was leveled out? So continue to remind me, O Prophet. Remind all, O Prophet, for your duty is to remind. You are not there to compel them to believe, but whoever turns away, persisting in disbelief, then Allah will inflict on them major punishment. Surely to us is their return. then surely with us is their reckoning.
Beautiful, Sam, beautiful. I mean, I hope you're aware, that, it wouldn't take me 2 minutes to find a very similar passage in the Bible. It's just, most Christians have now moved on to a sort of universalist view, for which I think they have no foundation and basis anyway. But, of course, as good Christians, we should wish for everybody to go to heaven, because we're very nice people. But, this is a sort of passage where I have to say, inspired by the Bible, probably.
Well, there's a funny thing. There's a joke in the West, which is, what is a camel? It's a horse created by a committee. What is a camel? Is a horse created by a committee. So it's like saying, oh, look how amazing the camels are. But the West makes fun of the camel. It's weird that they think.
Well, they certainly make very delicious cigarettes, them camels.
Yes, they do.
So please don't say anything bad about the camels. And they are marvelous. They can store so much water in their, humps and
Their humps are fat. Andre, their humps are fat. Come on.
Yeah, but they store water and
not in the hump. But they have carpets in heaven, and then they have the world is leveled out. I don't think the world's leveled out, guys. Why does heaven need carpets? It's so physical. The way they imagine heaven is this like physical, tangible place with big-bosomed women and carpets and chairs that are well-decorated chairs. It's very, very. They are not imagining an abstract place whatsoever.
Oh, Amin is here to explain why it's physical. Go ahead. The literalist. Go ahead.
No, I'm just here to say that there are verses that actually explains it. That there is, you can't even comprehend what's in paradise. Like you want to make it seem as if it's like physical and everything, but nah,
it's all explained physically. To deny that is ridiculous. At least be honest to the script.
No, so actually, you need to take the variables. If you don't know the Quran, you wouldn't be able to recall them. So that's.
Can you tell us what is not physical?
Yeah. So for example, there's a verse that says, even the fruits they look like they're not the same as the fruits we know of. So that's just an example.
And so they're not physical?
No, they're actually more real, I would say.
More real than physical?
Yeah, your experience in heaven is understood to be better.
Through physical means?
Yeah, but not as you know it, like necessarily as you know it. It's not like 100% as your experience here on Earth. It's a greater experience, and it's exponential.
So the grass is greener, the light is brighter, with friends around it, the nights of wonder. What Pink Floyd said?
I guess.
Still physical. I don't know what you came to prove it.
I've heard I've been reading the Quran for hours now. The descriptions of heaven in the Quran are over and over. That there's fancy chairs, that there's carpets, that there's fruit that you can grab, that there's silver cups and crystalline cups that you can drink out of whatever fruits you want to eat, whatever meat you want to eat. Nice chairs, beautiful ladies, servants. It's all physical.
Yeah.
Hundreds of verses. So
I'm not
denying physicality when there's hundreds of verses is just to not care about your holy book whatsoever.
Just be
I'm
honest.
not denying.
Be honest
I'm not
with the
denying.
scripture.
So I'm not denying. So when I say, for instance, I'm a spiritual person, what does that mean? It just means that you're searching a higher level of consciousness, right? So for me, at least, that's what it means. So paradise would be this. It would be an experience that's more conscious. You're more present. Therefore, reality appears better, and that's pointed out many times. So,
like a psychedelic drug.
I guess. I mean, yeah, whatever.
The Grillins Abu basically like they just like pivoted from fucking whether or not it's reasonable to criticize Islam or to like include all the different views to just like you know that guy Ahmed who you kicked off the stage. He's a white man who supports genocide. that was like that's the whole talk. He was like, no, you have to answer this.
Do changes count as white people, man?
To who? People, I think there's going to be a question about that.
So we're obviously they are.
White, though, yeah, they're definitely
So
white.
what ginger juice, Sam?
I think people
doesn't have a soul. Yeah,
No, we don't have souls.
Since I put the baby picture up, I think people have been nicer to me. It's like a nice little like defense.
You are pretty damn cute.
I hate you more now.
No, I just want to go down to McDonald's all the time now.
You look like you know how they say use master for like young people. You know, like it's like an official. I don't know if you know it's like an official title. Like I remember when I was a kid, it would be like master. I almost said my name. There, master whatever. Like that's the name. So now I hate you even more. I hated you a lot before.
You can call me Master Rose if you want. That's fine.
Master Moss? Listen to Master Moss. I don't listen. Hey, Master, I don't listen to Quran no more. Please, Master. No more. But what? So go on. What was the like? What exactly? How? I guess Zabu thinks that's something bad that you did something.
There we go. PTR Sam and I are wearing matching outfits. It's great.
Oh my god, I haven't seen this one. Oh my god, it's so cute.
Oh my god. We would have gotten along really well, Cora. Us as babies,
oh my god, Cora, this is so
like
cute.
Like weirdo nerds, we would have gotten along great.
Go on, what happened?
Zabu got upset that she thought that I was like, okay, she was trying to say something about the diversity of Islam and Mixed was interrupting her. And then like I didn't like move down Mixed for doing that. That she got a little clumped about that. And then what else?
Someone was saying like you're only looking at it through like the literalist lens, and therefore, yeah, obviously it's going to be shitty. But look at it through like the sheer schools of thought, read a lot of thought, literature, and analysis has been done on the Quran.
Yeah, well, the same in the Sunni. Hey, people
I
have
know.
1,400 years now to develop a spirituality and exegesis around this.
Yes.
Christians had 2,000 years.
Yes.
You know, it's not like people don't have explanations. I would like for somebody to, I'd be curious to hear from somebody like Amin how he interprets the passage in the Quran where it mentions that I'm not concerned about cutting off of hands. Christians have done this as well as a replacement for the death penalty in the Byzantine Empire. I'm not going to throw stones in a glass house, but
one thing is,
things like the visiting times of when you can go and see the Prophet. How is that relevant for all eternity? That's a sort of, it's a little things, that.
But wait, but it seems like what they're grilling her on now is that like you guys are trying to have a discussion about some comparative analysis of religions, and you guys are basically like you're playing defense for the like the Abrahamics, that the non-Islamic Abrahamics basically, and trying to criticize Islam, and that just showed like a clear bias. That's what it seems. So I don't know. That's what Elias and them guys are saying.
That is what Elias was
Sam has
but I thought they were just
Christianity before. It's not like that, but he doesn't do them often.
No, but I'm saying in the case of this conversation, I'm saying what happened that like
He does
made
it
him
all the
upset.
time, Andre. What are you talking about?
Okay, I don't think I'm gonna get my answer.
I don't actually fully understand why Zabu got so irritated. I don't actually understand it.
I'm saying, but I'm asking you, like, just sequence of events. Like, Elias comes into the room and then goes like, I want to debate fucking whether or not Christianity is worse than Islam. Is that what happened?
Basically. I mean, Elias likes to take over rooms. He's a very strong personality. Me and Daniel were just reading the Quran. We started at chapter 50. We're on chapter 90 now. We're literally just trying to get through it,
I was also.
And then so he came in while you were reading the Quran and called you an Islamophobe. So is that what happened?
Well, didn't start off with Islam, but first it started off with me saying, well, I got a little mad at Matthew because I was like, Nargis and Matthew have this idea that like, oh, the Sunni traditionalists get Muhammad all wrong. He's just like this like prophet, philosopher, charisma king that's like, you know, so wonderful and amazing. And then like me, I'm reading the Quran and I can see his thoughts directly. Like your writing is just a reflection of your thoughts, and he's a fucking moron who's
He
like.
didn't write it.
I think he did, and he's just like spastically writing over and over about how the you know the unbelievers are gonna burn, and then in heaven they're gonna get fruit that you can grab. Like there's like fruit right there, you can grab it. And there's like really nice carpet and a really nice chair, but they're gonna eat pus in hell. And he just like keeps talking about it like way more than I thought they would talk about it. I was kind of making fun of the lack of sophistication in it, and then I was kind of saying that you can like tell the sort of measure of a person's thoughts by how one idea connects to another idea, what metaphors they use, like what you know, what reasoning, like what powers of reasoning they have, and that from this Muhammad looks like a moron, not like this philosopher, you know, master that Nargis and Matthew.
And then Ilyas came in and said, well, he's better than Jesus.
No, then we explain historically how this would be apt.
So it was just like whataboutism, and they thought they concluded. They just like psychoanalyzed you.
Let's not forget. Sam also hold on. Sam also was reading the Quran like a Southeast Asian guy who was reading it with like some sort of like Hindu meditation music in the background. And I think that was like one making fun of it, right?
Yes, it's such a fucking coward, but like I never
don't be like
he's
that.
never good. Okay, thank you.
I've never met that dude. It's the first time. He's a white guy.
What Sam did, what you just said, Sam, in terms of him speaking a lot, is like the opposite experience where like I can never get him, and if he does, he just memes. Like every time we're in a room and there's like a serious discussion, Sully's there, so anyone's there, he just memes. Like he'll never just engage sincerely. Like he's like so intellectually insecure. It's like ridiculous.
Anyway, I think, you know, where you really need to see the red flag is when there's a group of people, a tiny group of people, perhaps a handful, who claim that they got it all made and know it better than the rest of their religion. Kind of always a red flag, no matter whether it's Islam or Christianity. You know, they just try to make it sound clever in a sort of Western way, and then in the end, they you know, they tell you in your face, you know, oh, Imam Khomeini was a great guy, you know, it's either atheism or Khomeinism and all that, and I cannot take people like that seriously. I used to think that was a kind of joke, you know.
But sometimes they're trolling. You can't do like with Matt less so, like he can be more serious, but like with the Ilyas guy, I mean he might think Khomeini's like some fucking, you know.
Yeah, but you know, it's like this is not a historic figure about about who we know nothing. This is a well-documented murderous thug. He also wrote nice poems, I'll give him that, and he was very great.
No, I'm saying they may not sincerely support him.
And ordered atrocities. So no.
I'm not contesting whether or not Khomeini's a good guy. I'm saying they may be memeing when they say like, yeah, he's a scholar, he's a sheikh, he's a da da da.
That's not what it
like.
No, it's about revolutionary, and they used this. It suddenly dawned on me that they really meant this when they talked about, you know, the criteria they measure somebody by is the revolutionary value somebody has, and that is just Khomeinism talk, and that's why I got so fucking angry with them, and for the first time in my life I've actually done the lan on Khomeini, because they're so fucking audacious to bullshit people in their face about with all the smarmy talk about rationalist Islam, and then they come with fucking Khomeini. Fuck that.
Andre, I asked about it yesterday, so I don't think it's like the person. Yeah, I asked them yesterday like what it is. Himothy, please. Like what it is about it, right? So I think it's like the principle of Khomeini, not so much him like the person, etc. The one
So,
who
so you don't mean, so you're not talking about Khomeini qua Khomeini.
yeah, not the like the historical Khomeini, like the principles by which he
Yeah,
stood.
what the fuck is the principle of Khomeini?
Like
It's the idea of him, you know.
the idea of him, yeah.
Oh, fuck that. That's just roulade talk. That's just fucking roulade talk.
No, perhaps unfulfilled. However, the idea of him, like the revolutionary who will at all times ought to speak against like powers, he's not scared of them. He will condemn the West even if it means, getting sanctioned, etc., etc. That kind of spirit. Now, whether he achieved that in practice or not, right?
Just enabled the regime, and to this day enabled the Revolutionary Guard to actually have a firm grip on that country. You know, there is nothing noble about it. There is
the application
nothing
gone bad,
about the Muslim Brotherhood inspired Qudsism. Khomeini falsified. Khomeini was a battery of the worst and highest rank who embraced Muslim Brotherhood ideology, and the people of Iran are still paying for it now.
Yes, I agree. However, I agree.
Bullshit. I used to be, just because I have Shia friends, I used to be kind about it, but those days are gone. Khomeini was a fucking lunatic and an asshole. He didn't even come by his Ayatollah title in a sort of regular way. They only made him Ayatollah because to save him from the death penalty, not because he was qualified for it. Same with Khamenei, who never wrote a Risala. These are all bullshitters. Absolute bullshitters.
I am definitely not
oppressors. When for centuries the Shia principle was better to be oppressed than to be the oppressor. And if people cannot see how oppressive the Walayat al-Faqih is that we see in Iran, I really feel sorry for them, and I think they haven't really understood Shiism. Like the sort of assholes that I see, Catholic radicals who I've met on Clubhouse who think the Crusades were great, even when the Vatican says no, and they still go on. These are all bullshitters, people who are lowlives, have no real success in life, and need to feed their male ego with these fantasies of omnipotence and violence and sort of self-made up or superiority. It's so base and so easy to see through for anybody with some sort of emotional intelligence.
Nargis, did you ever hear my poem about heaven?
Which one?
Heaven? Did I read you?
Yeah, read it.
The one about the multiple different qualia and shit?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Okay, well, I just wish that the Quran had something more like that than all the stuff about fancy chairs and fancy carpets. That would be kind of make it nicer.
Again, Sam put it in historical reference. Like once you put it in that historical reference, you just imagine that scenario. Now, to say that this is always, like Andre said, like what does it serve anyone? That particular instance by which the prophet, do not enter the prophet's house, for example. Yeah, it doesn't serve any, it has no meaning. So that's why the claim of verbatim, every word, every speech, every lettering is a direct speech of God. Yeah, that collapses. But you can still see it through some historical reference. Sam, did you understand what Matthew and I were trying to say through the historical thing?
Listen, you guys were saying that, Muhammad was in a place and a context. He said there was a drought. He's trying to get people to share food in a drought. And he needs to say whatever he needs to say to get people to do this.
Yes.
And these are a bunch of illiterate Bedouins, and you got to threaten them with hellfire to get them to do the right thing. And the right thing is to, give to charity and all that stuff. And so you guys basically think that you're kind of like it's like a noble lie, that he's just trying to say whatever will get the people to do the right thing.
To do the right thing.
And
the
I
well-being of
think
the
of-
collective. Yes.
And then I say, if that's true, let's just grant you that that's true. That would still not tell you that the Quran is good for our time.
But that's...
It could be.
Sorry.
It could be that he was useful and he was a useful tool for that time, not our time. And then the second claim is, I just don't think it's plausible that that's a good psychological account of what the man was like. So I both think if it's true, doesn't matter. Might not mean that the Quran's useful now, but also don't think it's true.
But that's where I think like the point Matthew was making is really relevant in the sense that like religions adapt to different contexts. There's always innovation and interpretation and reapplication, but the principles stay the same. So the principles remain, and then the actions and behaviors and how that gets applied is different. And your concern of the violence and the idiocy of literalist Islamists is a problem that actually needs to be addressed. But that is still not majority of Islam. And so putting it in historical context allows you to actually see how these other schools of thought develop their thought further in today's context. So for the literalist Islamist, or for the people who argue that we need to go back to the way Prophet Muhammad was acting, of course it's irrelevant. But for many other schools of thought, they've already solved this problem and found other ways to actually act on it differently. And take different ways to apply the principles that are actually relevant, very peaceful, help other people. It's not all bad. Most of it is not bad. So when you're going through the Quran and you're saying, well, this verse is completely irrational, but to who? To the context within which he's in? Are they saying it? Or the literalist Islamists? Okay. But how do the rationalists and the scholars and the academics and the many historians and all the religious studies scholars, everybody, how do they look at it now? And how is the principle being applied now? And I think sometimes when we only talk to the literalists or we're only concerned about these people who tried to mimic Muhammad in an irrelevant way, do we like miss the opportunity to like actually see these like contemporary things? We get lost in the past, and that's what it feels like right now. It feels like you're getting lost in the past, and you're not willing to see how other schools of thought are applying these principles. And I know you, so I think you are because you talk to us, and you talk to Nargis and I, right? And I know I don't always like educate. I'm not interested in doing that all the time, but I try to share some, and I think you would be interested in that and curious about that, and I know you're not as exposed to it on here because of the kinds of conversations you're having, and I think your document is fantastic, and I fucking loved it, and I said that to you the first time I talked to you, but I just think there's a limit to that approach, and you have to be willing to accept that it's limited, and it's not the only way to address this issue. There's other ways to confront it. And you have to be willing to be open to that.
You're very triggered right now, Zabu, and I don't fully understand what's going on. I don't know what I'm doing differently today than I've done any other days. I'm just reading the Quran as opposed to reading my document, but I feel like I don't get what you find egregious about me just reading the Quran and commenting on it. Like, why is that triggering you?
It's not just, you're not just reading it and you're not just providing commentary. It feels different this time because it's how are you expressing the willingness to look at these other views? And that felt closed off in this conversation. That's what was triggering. Because I know you to not be closed off. I know you to be very open-minded. And it came off as something else.
Okay, so like, I don't think Napoleon was a particularly good guy.
This is pathetic.
You could probably take Napoleon's writings and just make a religion out of it.
Get a life,
there could be
fatty.
like good and bad religions that were based out of Napoleon's writings. Like some people focus on his like bloodshed and killing. Some parts of them focus on the fact that he built like a civil code and advocated for science and archaeology and protected the Jews. And you could have like extremist, violent Napoleonists and
Get a life, fatty.
Napoleonists. But then that could happen. Then the question is, why are we basing anything on Napoleon's life at all, given that he's like a bit of a bastard? And like even if you have liberal interpretations of a bastard's work, the man is still he's a conqueror. He slaughtered, killed lots of people. It's like, why even do the project of making a liberal version of a bastard's work? And so I agree that you can come up with liberal versions of anything. I could probably come up with a liberal version of literal Nazism.
I think liberal is. I don't mean liberal.
But like, why would we do that?
Because it's not about. So this is where I think you get lost. Because I understand the atheist tendency to be like, well, we don't need any of it anyways. But if you're actually trying to address literalist Islam, it's kind of like recognizing that like there's like religion is a marketplace and there's a lot of choices. So you might not agree that Muslims should be Muslims, but then to attack all of Islam and say it shouldn't exist is closed-minded. Not to convert you to not be an atheist, but you're closing yourself off from learning how these other principles get applied. In doing that. So it's not about saying, oh, you need to not have a critique of all of Islam or whatever, but there's a little bit of a limitation or dishonesty in that. Because now you're throwing it all out. So then when you read the Quran and you're taking a verse that I actually understand it to mean something completely different than what you're reading, because now the principle of the thing the principle is the same, but the way it gets applied is different, right? Now you're saying that I'm irrational. And that my practice is not important to understand. And that's why I get triggered, because now you're saying it about me. And you're saying that the tradition that you are open to saying that, oh, well, it's not your Islam, Sabine, but now you're saying it is. Because you aren't looking at how the principle is being applied now or the historical context. So of course I'm going to get triggered, because now you're saying, oh, it's not worth knowing why I think that this is important to me. So I'm taking it personally.
He's reading a book, you clown.
I'm gonna read. Have my own version of the Quran.
This is like autism at its finest.
I'm gonna read some of it. Have you not considered how you are but a thin leaf on an ancient branch, and how many leaves will yet unfold after you? Your descendants will drink the water you cloud and breathe the air you poison, inherit the ruins or gardens you leave behind, the climate, the rivers and seas, the soil and forests and fragile multitude of species. These are trust placed in human care. Whoever treats Earth only as a quarry and a landfill has betrayed the covenant with both the past and future, worked to forestall the disasters that could erase your entire story from
He finally kicked me.
Nobody on that nasty thing. You know what?
Come out of my mouth that I follow him. Nobody takes up the meaning that, oh yeah, I think that we should, or tying young children should be allowed. Right?
Yeah,
so that's obviously not the relevant sense, and that is the thing I began from. But I mean, if you don't have the capacity to understand that, my friend, I can't do anything.
Well, unfortunately, I just checked the replays off, so I guess all we have is the other people in the room. I didn't think you immediately said you didn't, because I think the progression of the conversation I can infer from how the conversation took was I said in response to what you said. I said, wait, isn't he responsible for that?
I love my Quran. I love my Quran so much. Oh my god. My Quran is so good. I'm gonna read more from my Quran. Have you not seen paths the humans have walked in search of the good? Among those are those who said, do not do unto others that you would yourself hate. They bound justice and kindness and study. And those who said, love the source of all with all your whole being, and love your neighbors as yourself, turning to the golden rule and living fire. And those who spoke of dharma, of duty without clinging to reward, and of gentleness that reaches even to insects beneath the plow. And those who, seeing
that craving breeds suffering, walk the path of the right view and right intention and right speech and right action, bearing compassion for all that feels, and those who wrap themselves in radical non-harm, guarding thought and tongue and hand, lest they would wound another creature, and those who remembered the one, earned by their own labor, shared their bread, and drew their swords for the oppressed, and those who sought harmony through ritual and role, teaching children to honor their parents and citizens to honor one another, and those who said move with the way, act without domineering, be simple, humble, be like water, and those who divided the world into truth and lie, and strove for good thoughts, good words, and good deeds, and those who proclaimed the unity of mankind, that science and spirit need not be enemies but partners, and those who spoke of virtues as habits, a mean between excess and deficiency, aiming at a deep flourishing rather than a shallow thrill, and those who taught reason to rule passion, turning the soul towards good beyond all appearances, and those who sought quiet and stable pleasures, pruning anxiety with friendship and simple living.
Sam, was my response to you not clear?
I just want to finish reading my Quran, but then I'll respond to you in a second. Do you think we miscount these voices? Surely, we know every spark light and every deed of love. From many wells people draw, all clear water reflect the same sky. Hold fast in what these paths converges. Honesty, mercy, and courage and care for every mind that can feel. Let no story, however holy to you, stand immune from reason critique, for the real is not threatened by honesty. Anyway, I don't know. I just feel like you're fucking. I don't know. I just feel like you're a bit triggered, and I don't know what to say to you. I'm literally just like, I don't think that your Ismailism is a bad ideology. I don't think it's a bad thing that exists. I would much rather every Muslim be what you are, or what Ilyas is, compared to what they generally are. I think it's good that this exists. I think that, like, it's not some platonic ideal of the best religion ever, because I think fundamentally, all religions are flawed. I think Muhammad, I don't think he was a particularly nice man. I think the Quran is very flawed as a text. So then it's just like, okay, well, it's a good version. It's like a good thing that it exists, but I think that there's better things, better heights that we could climb to.
Okay, saying I'm just triggered is like also triggering, so I'd appreciate it if I'm responding to you and I'm actually talking to you about something, you not say that to me. I don't think it's helpful. And I think the difference is that usually you're doing it in a manner that is really clear about the fact that it's literalist Islam. But you're talking to Matthew and Ilyas as if they're literalist, like they're also literalist Muslims, and they're not. And
of course they're not literalists.
Pardon?
Of course they're not literalists. They just think Muhammad is a really good man.
But there's other ways to talk to them about that then.
Where did you get that from, that he's not? Where's that assumption coming from?
I think most warlord conquerors are bastards. So
Which is what you're calling him.
Yeah, so I think that Napoleon, Genghis Khan,
Which is what you're assuming.
Tamerlane, Julius Caesar, Alexander the Great. I think these are similar figures in history.
I don't think you've studied academic history or the life of Muhammad. I really don't think you know much about him.
And then you don't see how, like, your focus on just literalist Islam has turned you into the same thing. You're acknowledging that yes, these literalist Muslims will take the Quran and have these weird interpretations of the Quran, but you're limiting Islam to only that. And other Muslims don't just rely on the Quran or just the Hadiths. There's other sources of analysis that they're using over time. Other traditions, other practices, other like devotional texts that have arisen in the Islamic, in different Islamic traditionalists, or different. Sorry, just saw the thing in the chat that confused me. Different Muslim traditions.
Savvy sounds like a
and so
trigger.
It just feels like in this conversation. conversation, you just like close yourself off from that curiosity to see how this actually plays out in other ways. The Quran is not read this way by everybody.
You're literally just beating the shit out of a straw man, and you're making up a cartoon of what you think I'm doing or think, and then you're getting mad at a thing that doesn't exist because it exists in your imagination. I've never claimed that there isn't a diversity of Islam, nor have I not been open to learning about the diverse ways Islam exists. The two things that I have claimed is that, one, the Quran is not from God, and I'm trying to get evidence for that. Then the thing that I also said is that I don't think Muhammad was a particularly insightful or good man. And I'm also willing to give evidence for that. I've never said that there aren't other paths of Islam, there aren't other things to learn about, other ways of being, other ways to learn. I'm not curious about learning about the diversity of Islam. I probably know more sects of Islam than the fucking 98% of people on this fucking app. So you're just getting mad at me for something that I haven't said, I don't believe, and it's very annoying, because I don't make up a thing in your head about what I'm doing or thinking, and then get mad at a thing that's not even real. Actually look at me and what I'm thinking and saying, and actually reflect on what that is.
I am, Sam, and I'm not leaving, and I'm not trying to annoy you. You asked me why I'm being triggered, and I'm telling you something in this conversation was different than what you usually do. And that's why I'm thrown off. That's it. I don't think I'm making it up. I'm not saying that this is your inherent behavior. I think it's strange behavior from what I'm usually used to. That's why I'm talking about it. I'm sorry you're upset. I'm not
being
trying
different,
to you.
Sam.
I really care about you. I really enjoy our rooms. I enjoy our conversations. I enjoy our friendship. It's not about that. I don't think you're a bad person. I literally went to the other room to fucking say that. I literally went to the other room to say that. I defend you. I care about you. I do all of these things. I show you this affection for your creativity all the time. I'm not trying to beat you up. I'm telling you that I'm just thrown off. I'm thrown off.
Sabu, you were
So
triggered
hearing
over
you
Sam
say
being different tonight?
and that you're
He's
open to
reading
it
a
is
book.
I guess I'm just asking for reassurance. Like, remind me.
Sabu, if you want to do a room with me on different forms of Islam that exist, and tell me about all these obscure sects, like ones that are just purely
Sabu,
into
maybe you
like
should take a deep breath and
mysticism,
relax.
or those are purely into rationalism, the whirling dervishes, the various obscure sects. Happy to learn about them. Very curious about it. Would love to learn about it. I love learning about the diversity of the worlds, and also as a human, I want nothing human to be alien to me. So I'd like to learn about different ways people understand things and do things. And I'm happy to have a room that you host on the diversity of Islam.
But you can't just say that I'm just triggered and upset for no reason, and that I'm making it up. Like, that's not fair.
Well, the thing you made up was what you think I was up to or thought and believed. All I've done is read the Quran and then commented on it, and you were saying, Sam, what you're saying is you're not open to these other forms of Islam.
No, I'm
which I never said.
as if you weren't.
Yeah, and that is what I'm saying is in your imagination, because I never said, oh yeah, fuck all these.
If you
I don't want
upset
to learn.
me, I would never talk down to you about it. I would never do that.
What are you saying? What are your favorite words?
You're talking down to me.
Listen, I'm happy to reassure you that we can talk about the diversity of Islam.
Talk up to her.
I think that I was acting just reading the Quran.
Talk up to her.
On it. I don't know why this. I think you have an image in your head of what I'm doing that's different from you.
Grow up, Zabu.
I assure you that me and Daniel
Take the
metal.
metal.
Daniel constantly make jokes about the Quran. We were talking about having Kaaba matches with Abu Lahab and stuff like that. And so we were just doing more of that.
we were just a little bit shocked.
Grow
I
up,
guess,
Zabu,
a
and
little
take the
bit by
metal
just
rings
the
out your
sheer
nose and maybe hit the
number of
gym and
verses
read.
that involve people that they're gonna burn in hell,
Roasting!
and just the
Roasting!
constant repetitiveness of heaven is gonna have nice couches and tasty fruit and big bosomed women, and hell's gonna have fire and sadness and drinking boiling water and eating pus, and just the sheer numbers of that was kind of shocking for us.
Ew.
But like
It's a bit much. I agree.
Yeah, but like, of course, I understand that. I just think the room became something else.
It became hateful and somehow.
Yeah,
I also
there was
sense that
something
shift
twisted
of
about it.
energy. Yeah, I know.
And it wasn't
It was
good
just
for
like
their type
Islamophobic.
either, so that's why I went to the fucking room and I yelled at them too. But
No, but they left because there was no pursuit of like knowledge, which I agree.
Exactly.
It became like pursuit of just mockery.
I agree.
Doesn't change the fact that they're intellectually dishonest people, those two.
Oh my god. Why do you have to talk about them? Why, Andre? Why can't you say
Because
about what
because
I
they're
said?
because Andre has a point also. The false by exposing the falsity of one, it does not assert the truth of another. And I've said this over and over again.
I read you more from Sam's Quran, because I like Sam's Quran. By the scale that never lies, and by the ledger written not in ink, but in consequences, every act is weighed by what it does to the well-being of the world. Many deeds feel righteous, yet breed fear and hunger and despair. These are but idols of the ego dressed in piety. Better a small kindness that softens one hard day than a grand gesture that leaves the vulnerable broken. Share from your surplus with causes that help the most. For some gifts heal a scratch, while others close a mortal wound. Give first to those at the bottom of the well, before painting flowers on the cup of the prosperous. Do not earn from fraud or hidden harm. Ill-gotten wealth is a house built on rotten beams. Use force only as a last reluctant remedy, proportionate, guarded, never spilling over into the innocent. Torture and collective punishment are stains that soak into the soul of people, and there's no necessity can wash them clean. In conflict, let your weapons be listening, careful speech, and willingness to revise your story. Forgive those who sincerely mend their ways, but do not throw your memory into the fire. Learn that you are not burned twice by the same flame. Temper your desires with reason, so that pleasure is your guest, not your master's. Practice small daily kindnesses, especially when nobody is watching, for there the true shape of your character appears. Own the wake your choices leave behind. Do not hide behind systems as if they were not made and maintained by hands like yours. When you are unsure, incline towards mercy. The one who weighs you knows how often you yourself were in need of the same.
It's nice, but it lacks the dramatic effect of the Quran. Like, this is my honest criticism. It doesn't balance itself well. There's not enough physicality or esoteric. I don't know.
You're right. I'm going to add some more verses. And kick babies in the head, and they're going to burn and they eat pus. Hell.
Just look into
Gonna burn in hell.
You can also look into the Zionist manual. You'll find a lot of useful material there, so far as destruction goes. So maybe you could use that.
Oh my god, this comment in the chat is hilarious. Congressman says, grow up, Zaku, and take the metal rings out of your nose, maybe hit the gym and read loud, Sue. Oh my god, fuck yeah.
Shut the fuck up, John.
Love is the law. Law and the will, isn't it, John?
done, he'll play that god awful bell noise and it'll like make me want to vomit.
Yo, how long have we been here, Sam? What's the number of hours?
It's like 5 hours. 6 hours.
This might be the longest I've sat in one of your rooms. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, Sinestro, it's nice to have you.
Thanks, Sam.
Would you like to repeat? Sinestros, yes. Repeat after me, Samuel. Ashhadu.
Ashadu.
You've read so much Quran, and I think much more than like most Muslims would have. I think it's time for.
This has been the second best sermon I've ever filmed for YouTube. Great work, Sam.
So sweet. I couldn't, man. I'm too much of a freaking idealist, truth-seeking human. I couldn't do it to him.
If I converted to Islam and then deconverted, then I'd be at risk of death. So it'd actually be like a material harm you're doing to me, you know?
You're not at risk. You're already at risk, but you're not actually.
Perhaps,
Yeah, I am. Apostates get killed.
I'm sorry, hellfire is your final abode. What are you talking about?
We invite you in now. Like, it's so different. The role of the non-believer, it literally says there's no compulsion in religion in the Quran. I'm never gonna force you. People who force you to believe in anything are fucking stupid.
Yeah, but if you are in the religion, then you leave all the Sunni hadiths say.
Well,
perhaps the Muslims need more IQ and EQ and should read more books than just Mo's.
By the dawn, in the 10 nights, and the even and the odd, in the night when it passes, is all this not sufficient oath for those who have sense? Do you not see how your Lord dealt with Ad, the people of Aram, and the great stature, unmatched in any land?
They couldn't pass up.
Thalmud, who carved their homes to rocks in the Stone Valley, and the Pharaoh of mighty structures. They all transgressed throughout the land, spreading much corruption there. So your Lord unleashed them a scourge of punishment. For your Lord is
I was
truly
going to go
vigilant.
outside, but I couldn't pass
Now,
up by
whenever a human
recording Sam
being is
read
tested by
Quran
the
and
Lord,
upsetting
there is
Muslim.
generosity and blessings. They boast, my Lord has deservedly honored me. But when he tests them,
Who's gonna go out
limiting
tonight?
their provision, they protest, my Lord has undeservedly humiliated me. Absolutely not. In fact, you are not even gracious to the orphan, nor do you urge one another to feed the poor. You devour others' inheritances greedily and love wealth fervently. Enough! When the earth is entirely crushed over and over, and your Lord comes to judge with angels rank upon rank, and hell is brought forth on that day, when every disbelieving person will remember their own sins. But what is the use of remembering them? They will cry, I wish I had sent forth something good for my life. And on that day, he will punish them severely, like no other, and bind them tightly, like no other. Allah will say to the righteous, O tranquil soul, return to your Lord, well pleased with him, and well pleasing to him. So join my servants, and enter my paradise. More hellfire threats.
It's quite
Never
powerful.
stop.
This is
It
the first
never
time I'm
stops.
appreciating it, Sammy. The way you read this one. I'm actually having appreciation for the drama in it. It's so powerful. It's theatrical almost.
I mean, I guess this one had one thing where it goes, it goes like, oh, the Lord is undeservedly humiliated. Absolutely not. You have not even been gracious to the orphan, and don't urge one another to feed the poor. I like that.
Yeah, I like that. That's really nice. Like, who the hell are you? You haven't even like fed the orphan, and now you're coming here complaining.
Yeah, how
It's
you've
like
been,
you are.
seeing how you've been humiliated and stuff, and you're just like a little
Yeah.
bitch that doesn't even help anyone yet.
Yep.
Alright. Chapter 90. I do swear by the city of Mecca, even though you, O Prophet, are subject to abuse in the city, and by every parent and their child. Indeed, we have created humankind in constant struggle. Do they think that no one has power over them? Boasting, I have wasted enormous wealth. Do they think that no one sees them? Have we not given them 2 eyes, a tongue, 2 lips, and shown them the 2 ways of right and wrong? If only they had attempted the challenging path of goodness instead. And what will make you realize what attempting the challenging path is? It is to free a slave, to give food in times of famine, to an orphaned relative, to a poor person in distress, and above all, to be one of those who have faith and urge others to perseverance and urge each other to compassion. Those are the people of the right, and for those who deny our signs, they are the people of the left, and the fire will be sealed over them. Again with this fire shit, can you just fucking cut it out, Quran?
Because it is the worst way of dying.
Like literally, it had this really. This is actually of all of the surahs I've read so far, this is the one that has the most amount of feed the poor, free a slave, give food in famines, help orphans, help people in distress. Like it had a lot of that in it.
Yeah,
And yet,
so these become
it still has the fucking stuff about the hellfire. Like it just
Sam,
came in
if you keep
of
reading,
itself.
from here, these become instructional. So it's more like coming towards the drought surahs. See, at a time where these mofos didn't want to like shell out a single pen, and parents were actually burying their girl child alive. He's coming forth and he's saying, "You motherfuckers, like, are you serious? This does seem like a struggle for you, doesn't it? You've never given charity. This bridge between you and the freaking elite is so much that these people are literally burying their kids. Don't you see through it all? Don't." And then he's introducing a god in the middle of all this and saying, "Don't ever think this providence is coming from you. What you have is meant to be given so as to maintain the well-being of the collective, so as to have social order and human dignity intact." So these are the ways in which he's sort of, trying to get them to reach like a higher cause that he has in mind. None of this, by the way, is being done by means of any miracle of sorts. He's not turning the rod into a serpent like Moses. He's not making birds out of clay. He's just using himself. And in this, there is greatness. This is what I'm saying. Like, look at it like from the outside. I'm not even putting in any emotion into the whole thing. And I'm thinking, this is fantastic. He doesn't have any family backing. He has no financial backing. All he's doing is creating well-being for the collective. And he's saying, fuckers, just shell out money and help the poor and let this drought go so that we can be successful as a human family.
Yeah, and again, you see, once again, I fail to see, and I'm
So
sorry
you
to
just
say
read
this, I
from-
don't want to be offensive, but I fail to see what Islam brought the world that Christianity didn't already give it. Yeah? Although I could be facetious and say, of course, Islam is a part of Christianity, because John of Damascus listed as a Christian heresy, not as a different religion. So you're still kind of in the fold a little bit.
But that's what many of us think. Many of us think we have allyship in those who say we are Christians. It literally says that in the Quran. So this idea that they're separate things, or like I understand that there's like different traditions, and so some will say it's not.
Muhammad stole
there
the
are many of us who
narrative.
take Christianity
He
really
killed millions
seriously
doing it.
and what it has to offer.
But Sabu, if any Muslim groups belongs to us, it's you guys.
Yes, exactly.
Christianity,
I mean, it
the most
beautiful.
beautiful. Christianity gave the most beautiful esoterics, the most amazing metaphysics.
I literally do Hail Marys in my zikr.
Like Christianity's philosophy is unparalleled. Of how Ali, yeah, it is. The Prince of Ali, the Prince of Jesus,
it's gonna.
It is. You know why? I'll tell you why. Because Christianity made the intermediary of everything. And in doing so, it asserted value, extreme value, to ultimate reality, aka Father. And this is something that is lost amongst like literalist Islamists.
So you don't need to worry about that being offensive, Andre.
No, because I do value my Muslim friends, and I just prefer usually for Muslims to talk to me about their religion and all the aspects of it. I can tell them about mine if they're interested. I just don't think this comparing really brings any good comes out of it. This sort of negative comparison thing,
Yes.
or the dawakanda,
Yes.
and Christians do the same. I
Yeah,
feel
they do the
even
same.
more agitated. I mean, one of the reasons one of the reasons why I'm hanging out with Muslims here is because Christians get me up the wall even sooner. Because as soon as I enter a room, I hear heresy wherever I listen. But I will also say this, and I think I used to say this more often in rooms. Christianity, Judaism, and Islam are intrinsically linked and have been linked to each other and mutually influenced each other for the last 1,500 or so years. Yeah. There are great Christian theologians who, like John of Damascus, who would have been killed by the iconoclast Isaurian emperors had they not lived in Muslim territory. All the Miaphysite Coptic Christians, etc., they would have been probably suppressed had they not lived in Muslim lands. I totally see why God made Islam.
Muhammad
Even
should be
from a
shown to be
Christian
shamed. He was a
perspective,
mass murderer and
it was
evil
meant as a
pedo.
check on us. So yeah, true. And so if you look at Saint Francis of Assisi, who had these dialogues, there's also when
Philosophy and
Christianity
wisdom is
Islam were
crude,
on
murderous,
par
and foolish.
as powers in the world, there was a lot of fruitful discussion. Both were secure enough in themselves to have these discussions. It is because of this balance that we've experienced since the Industrial Revolution that this has gone ugly. And this is as much the fault of Christian countries and majority Christian countries as it is of the Muslims and their lack to reform themselves. Again, Zabu, I'm not addressing you. If Ismaili Islam was the majority form of Islam, we would probably have a lot less problems with each other. But alas, as you know, there's always a takfir not far when you're Muslim. And I could name a lot of reasons why I'm not going to become a Muslim. One of them is, as soon as you become a Muslim, you get takfired by thousands of people, the next day.
And the thing is like
belong to the right kind of Islam.
But the Ismaili way is so that you don't have to do that, And the Ismaili
way is so much nicer because, like Christianity, it has a living succession of leadership.
And reading all of their speakers become like more of a Quran for us than just the Quran, right? Because they offer so much guidance and analysis.
But for you, the Quran is a living thing embodied in the Imam and not a static.
It's not a book.
Exactly.
And the Bible is not a book. The Bible is a collection of books.
It's a book, you losers.
That, the majority in terms of quantity of manuscripts we have are from the Bible readings in the liturgy, which again highlights to me.
When you
and I
say
would
a book
like
is
to
not a
highlight
book,
this
you
to
are a
listeners as well.
moron.
Christianity is a religion of sacraments and of the church, not of a book. It's not actually a religion of the book in its own understanding, except if you look at Bible-only sort of evangelicals, which are very loud, like the sort of Muslims that people find problematic are very loud, also here in Clubhouse. But that's something we have to live with. That's part of the plurality, part of this great, chaotic, beautiful web that is life and how humans relate to God.
I think I think like what is really satisfying about this, and it might sound to people who don't appreciate this and might see this as all just woo-woo that we get along, but to me, like, hearing about the nice things is so important because I hear so much of all the bad stuff all the time, and I am so overwhelmed by it, and I feel really emotional about it. So Andre, like, you even sharing this is like exactly like what I'm looking for. I think is like just more love in these spaces, and I know that's cheesy, but it just, I get really upset. Like, I get really overwhelmed by it, and I think most of the time I do a good job of like handling it, but today I just like couldn't take it anymore. It was like too much. It was too much of the same shit but from different religions. Like, fucking, it was annoying.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I
totally get you.
Very self-conscious about my butt.
I've left Sam's rooms before because he was going a little bit too far in some things. But he doesn't mean it in a bad way. It's just,
It's not about
he struggles himself, but he's fascinated by it. That's why he can't stop talking about it.
Yeah, but don't ever forget.
You ever convert to Islam, you're going to be such a star there. Oh gosh. You're going to be the Andrew Tate of Brooklyn,
But don't ever forget all that labor in itself.
Thanks. I like your look.
It's just the way I dress.
Like,
but this is
much older than all of you. Much older than all of you.
Exactly, but then we have to worry about the fucking Hebrew nationalists, like, it just gets fucking crazy.
This is why I'm a realist. I can't stick to one.
yourselves with the concept of the logos spermaticus.
No, I'm not. I just didn't know where you
Because that's how you're aware of it. As a perennialist, you should be aware of it.
I am, yes.
It's right up
the
your
logos
street.
theology.
It's right up your street.
Sam, are you there?
I do like it very much.
Yeah.
Were you there? Sam, are you there?
I'm here.
How annoyed are you with me?
No, I'm gonna fucking cut off your hand and your feet on opposite sides. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause that's what you do to rebels. You know what I mean? Like, if you're like doing mischief in the land, you get like your hand and your
But
feet.
you have to be Muslim in order to apply that. So are you gonna convert?
Well, I mean,
He just read the Quran. He converted tonight, Zabu. You're never satisfied.
you should also. I'm just gonna just say.
Look at his filthy Zionists. Look at him.
Be agnostic about whether I'm a Muslim. Let's just put it that way. You know what I mean? Maybe I converted, maybe I didn't convert. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm sorry, Sam.
August, can you kick that dude?
Yeah,
No, like out of the room.
Oh, come on. It's John Kitover.
Oh, crybaby. They kicked me. Alright, I think that should be plenty. Should we go in with one more fucking account? Fuck with those fuckers. Oh shit, what happened? Alright, this will be the last one. He's gonna
He definitely called me out my name. He called me a bitch.
He's got the AI blues.
Muhammad. I mean, you'd like
like, yeah, I understand the point you're making, but there are much more.
No, but
Yeah, but there
come
are
on,
many
man.
more
You, know,
avenues.
you understand the logic of the point. The logic of the point is
I understand the
that's not
logic.
actually how it works.
Well, no, that what you're positing, and you're kind of saying, okay, we have a situation where we have a Wilberforce, and he came to reform society and get abolish the slave trade. It didn't come like.
Muhammad came to abolish the slave trade. Get the fucking guy from the room. Get him!
Genocide makes money, doesn't it?
I got on stage, I called it out, and I said, he's disgusting. I said, you're disgusting for what you're doing.
I don't know.
It's actually called the Recruitment Project. It's on his profile. Now, and he sends messages like through some new house he's made. Now we are recruiting people. Okay, X, Y, and Z.
Recruitment project sounds so creepy.
Yeah, so let's do this recruit on who's gonna say what, who's gonna turn the heat on, who's gonna be sending dummy flowers, etc., so that real people start sending money as the debate gets heated. And then someone was saying this is the first time we've coexisted together, like on a project like this. Like some person was saying, which is like, what are you doing? Just a couple of years ago, there was that whole crying here on losing so many people. Was it all a sham? Was it all just fuck? I can't. It's so wrong. Like, I don't want to judge, but it's so wrong.
I don't know, and I think he's also shifted like theologically recently, like last week or two.
He's shifted 50,000 times in 2 years.
Yeah, become a little more. How should I put it? Sort of Gnostic. Kind of some of the things I heard him say yesterday reminded me of Freemasons, but I don't know.
Ibn Arabi, he's trying to marry Ibn Taymiyyah with Ibn Arabi, the two like back opposite philosophers.
Okay, that's it. Okay. Well, amazing. But I mean, do you know? I mean, does he work?
He's trying to make money off of TikTok by selling his genocide or using the genocide to make money, or what he calls the genocide of his people.
Yeah, but you cannot make enough bucks off that to earn a living, like. But anyway, so.
He has completed the great alchemy and is now Messiah on TikTok.
It would turn out that he did shifts at a sort of petrol station or something like that. But which is still an honourable job, I don't know. I have no clue what he does.
By the sun in its brightness, the moon as it follows it, and the day as it unveils it, and the night as it unconceals it. By the heaven and the one who built it, and the earth and the one who spread it, by the soul and the one who fashioned it. Then with the knowledge of right and wrong inspired it. Successful indeed is the one who purifies their soul, and doomed is the one who corrupts it. Thamud rejected the truth out of arrogance. The most wicked of them was roused to kill the camel. But the messenger of Allah warned them, do not disturb Allah's command, and turn to drink. And her turned to drink. Still they defied him and slaughtered her. So the Lord crushed them for their crime, leveling all to the ground. He has no fear of consequences.
Could have just left it and not use the last two verses.
Sam, I have another potential point for your document.
What's up?
All of the verses in the Quran that say that the Quran is easy to read.
Oh, I already have that one in there. I literally already have that in my fair.
Okay, I noticed that. I was reading Miriam today, and I was like, oh, it says it's easy so many times.
Yeah. But yes, I have my one-page document, which is my cliff notes, and then I have my long document, and I've just added a whole bunch of new stuff to my document from my Quran reading today. Lots of miscellaneous weirdnesses. But yeah, I just didn't realize how much hell was part of the Quran. But the new criticisms I've added to my Quran document are, let's see. Can you not see in heaven your sustenance is whatever you were promised, then by the Lord in heaven and earth? That's as true as the fact that you can speak. But no, the fact that you can speak is definitely much more obvious than that heaven has sustenance. Like, there's no one on earth who has more access to heavenly information than the fact that they can speak. So that's just like an error. This is as certainly true as the fact that you can speak. No. The next is that it says, if you were to see a deadly piece of sky fall upon them, they would say, that's just a pile of clouds. Yeah, that's not what people would say. No one thinks clouds are even solid objects that can fall on people. And they will be waited on in heaven by youthful servants. So there's slaves and servants in heaven. If they're conscious, then they're being tortured. If they're not conscious, then it's kind of creepy to be like having little like human robots doing stuff for you. The next criticism is, it says, if Muhammad believed in the Quran with no doubt, how can you pagans dispute with him with what he saw? And it's like, okay, yeah, because the pagans have different evidence than Muhammad does. So they have different levels of doubt. Like, if you went to a concert and said it was awesome and then told me I didn't see the concert, so then why would I believe you as much as you believe you? That's just silly. Then it says, do you prefer to have sons while you attribute Allah's daughters? God just want daughters. There's nothing irrational about that. They will taste the touch of hell. You feel touches and you taste flavors. You don't taste tactile experiences. Our command is but a single word done in the blink of an eye. But then how did the heavens and earth take multiple days if his actions take a blink of an eye? It says secret talks are only inspired by Satan. That's not true. Surprise birthday parties are probably not from Satan. So give them good news of a painful punishment. Painful punishment isn't good news. Even if the wicked get painful punishment, it's not good news to know that they're getting horrible experiences. Like, it's kind of a tragedy that they were bad and that they caused themselves to get badness happen to them. But I too am planning. How does a being outside of time plan anything? They just act in whatever they want. I don't think they can plan for the future if they're not in time. Anyway, those are my new additions to my miscellaneous errors part of the text. But I've also added more stuff in other parts of the text.
Sam, if you're really serious about this, focus on the little things that make it look small. Yeah.
Like Muhammad's penis?
No. What the fuck?
What's a little thing?
Oh, come on, please. Don't be like that. No, I mean, if you want to keep having serious discussions with Muslims, you'll have to start, reining yourself in on these insults. I really mean it, Sam. No, I mean, things like, the visiting times of the Prophet, things like that. That's what I mean.
But he isn't. It's obvious he isn't. This is why Elias got upset, as I know he was being dramatic. But this is why there's no pursuit for like truly learning. It's just a hate on Islam, which is fine. I've accepted Sam for it.
Well, okay, first off, because of Aisha, it's like objectively true that Muhammad spit a small pee. But when it comes to when not wanting to learn, I just want to hate. Yeah, I want to deconvert Muslims from Islam because I think Islam is false. But I don't,
But that's what I've been saying, you've been saying, and then you get mad at me when I say that you say that.
But it doesn't cover up the genocide.
If I could make you a
No matter.
atheist, that would make me happy.
It doesn't cover up the genocide, no matter what you do. Whether you destroy the entire freaking institution of Islam, you will never, ever overcome the guilt of killing innocent children and women in Gaza. Get over it, Sam. How many times do I have to tell you the same thing?
I didn't know Sayla joined the room. Hey, Sayla, nice to see you. I thought you...
That sounded very Scottish when you just said that, Nargis. Get over it, Sam. Get over it.
How many times, Andre?
How does Sayla take control of Nargis? This is kind of so weird.
I'm being serious. It's never going to overcome that.
No, but it's not, if you have to be serious. If you want to really get at people, you have to make them take you seriously in the first place. And you always have to leave them on the edge as to whether you're complimenting them or insulting them, or if you're serious or bullshitting them, then you truly have succeeded, Sam. You're just too obvious with this. I wouldn't talk to you anymore if you talked about Jesus like the way you did about Muhammad. I can tell you that for sure.
I think it's inherently very, very funny that the guy that 2 billion people think is the best guy in the world is debatably, not provably, but debatably a pedophile, warlord, murderer, rapist.
No, I disagree, Sam. Muhammad, even if you just use the Muslim sources, Muhammad isn't a pedophile because it wasn't a predilection he had.
Oh my God.
The hadith are so numerous that talk about his reluctance to enter that marriage with Aisha, how he had to literally be given a dowry by Abu Bakr to actually finally do it. He was very reluctant. His first wife was much older. Many other wives were older than him. And Khadija wasn't just a widow he wanted to take care of. No, she was the wife with whom he has his most beloved and only surviving child, Fatima Zahra alayha salam. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't buy this narrative at all. And historical critical analysis of this done by Western historical critical scholars show that the hadith about Aisha's age, etc., was added later to make her seem closer to Muhammad, because him marrying her at that age wouldn't have been an embarrassment in that day and age at all, not even by Christian standards. It wouldn't have been an embarrassment. It's just the way things were back then. You can argue, is this supposed to be an example for all time and all places? No. But I know even Salafi, fiqh scholars who say no. This doesn't apply today. We have now knowledge about medicine, etc., that suggests that in today's circumstances, this would not be permissible to do. So there is a nuanced view, even in conservative Muslim circles on this. Not only others, there are still Muslims who use this as an excuse for child marriage today. But, it's not like child marriage is a prerogative or a single sort of sign of Islam. You find it in many other cultures as well.
I mean, so this is all stuff from like hadith and sirah that I'm about to read to you. And so the guy that they're saying is like, the best person ever. So there's the whole Aisha incident, you comment on that. Then there's the owning of Maria the Coptic, who's a slave they had sex with. Okay? Then there's the issue of marrying Sophia after killing her family. Very soon after killing her family, he marries a girl. Now, I think it's kind of traumatizing to kill someone's family and then marry her.
Never seen it in other countries, Andre.
Aggressive military actions like Kaibar. You have owning slaves in general. You have trading slaves, which you have hadiths of. We have him stopping visiting his second wife because she was a little too old and fat, and visiting Aisha more instead. And her being afraid that she would divorce him. You have things like him. You have hadiths that say that him talking to a girl and saying that she shouldn't have freed her slave girl, that she should have given the slave girl to her uncle. That he married his stepdaughter and arguably ended the practice of adoption, so he could do that in the practice of Zainab. There was a woman who stabbed to death a woman who disparaged him, and then he didn't punish the guy who killed the woman who disparaged him. So he's okay with murdering people for insulting him. He attacked the Quraysh caravan at Nakla during the sacred month of Rajab, which shattered the pan-Arab taboo against warfare in that month. Now, it's pretty nice to have a month where war doesn't happen. It's really a mercy to the people to have taboos at certain time periods for war, so that the world isn't just a constant, war place. He got rid of that. He endorsed the execution of all the pubescent males of the Banu Quraysh tribe and the enslavement of the women and children. None of this makes this man look like a good man. Now, Shias can say all these hadiths are fake and they didn't happen, but the Sunnis can't say that. One thing that's kind of funny is that one of the consequentially worst things he did, not in terms of his character, but the thing that just caused the most turmoil, is not setting up a stable succession system, which led to civil wars and stuff. He could have just said, "Here's how power should be, stably transferred."
Don't speak to me
every
until
time.
it's 11 a.m.
But didn't do that. Lots of wars because of that. The most important job of a king is stably passing off power to his successor without a civil war. That's basically how you judge whether a king was a good king or not. I don't know why everyone left when I was reading all that stuff.
It's 3 o'clock in the morning.
That's true. That's facts.
Beautiful.
Your Lord, O Prophet, has not abandoned you, nor has he become hateful for you. And the next life is certainly far better than this one. And surely your Lord will give you so much to you that you'll be pleased. Did he not find you an orphan that sheltered you? Did he not find you unguided and guided you? Did he not find you needy and satisfied your needs? Do not oppress the orphan. Do not repulse the beggar. Proclaim blessings to your Lord. Have we heard?
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I can hear you.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your read.
Have we not uplifted your heart for you, O Prophet, relieved you of the burden, and weighed so heavily on your back and elevated your renown for you? So surely the hardship comes ease, and surely with that hardship comes more ease. So once you have fulfilled your duty, strive in devotion, turning to your Lord with hope. I guess this is where the idea
We'll be dreaming of the
with
big
hardship
bosoms
comes
in
ease
heaven.
is the idea that if you have a hard time in life, you'll be rewarded in heaven. So, what's that stuff about he keeps saying stuff, all of these verses start with, by the X, by the stars, by, it's almost like he's doing a what is by the fig and olive of Jerusalem and Mount Sinai? Like, what does that mean to say by X?
I swear by.
You need to
He's
explore.
swearing by the existence of these things.
But what is that?
And he's holding them witness as he speaks.
Mo
He's
was a
saying, as the sun
magician.
is watching me when I say this, I swear on that. By by the moon who's watching me, who's existing in my presence while I'm saying these words that I'm saying. Like, I have enough witnesses that I have said these things to you, right? He's trying to sort of unify nature and not separate one from your natural surroundings. He's teaching
The
awareness
sun
of
is
being
the
one
father.
with your environment.
The earth is
That's
the
how I
child.
read it. I'm very generous to the text, as Sam can tell, and probably like to limits, to levels I shouldn't be critically, but I am this way with every scripture.
You know what's really interesting about the English translation on Quran.com is that it uses the word mindfulness.
Oh really? I just made this up right now.
I'm like, oh, Buddhism has found its way.
I didn't know that at all. I just thought of it right now.
Totally, there's the word mindful and mindfulness so many times.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow, like they're really...
Yeah, I just thought of it right now.
Because that's a new word.
Yeah.
That's a contemporary word. Which only has its origins in Buddhism. And it gets used by everybody else.
Very much so, yes.
I just gave myself microbanks.
What? How short? How frustrated are you? I attack hair too when I'm emotional. I shaved off my head right when I got divorced.
I'm so sad.
How frustrated are you? What's going on?
Oh my god, I feel sad.
Where did Andre go? I think
they would look cute, but they do. Sorry, Sam. Are you falling asleep?
A little bit, yeah. But I want to read some more of the Quran.
Who's dating a biracial bangs and exact same she's bi.
Sam, how many chapters did you promise him?
I said that I would read from 50 to the end. So.
By
You
when?
don't have much left.
What?
By when?
You don't have me.
By Monday. By the fig and olive of Jerusalem and Mount Sinai, in the secure city of Mecca, instead we have created humans in the best form. We will reduce them to the lowest of the low in hell. Oh, stop it with this hell stuff.
Usually,
Except those who believe and do good, they
you
will
read a book
have
and
never
become
any
convinced
reward.
of its wisdom, but not with
Now, what
Quran.
makes you deny the final judgment?
I was dating
Is
a
the
biracial
Allah
bangs and
not the
exact
most
same she's bi.
just of all judges?
To look at bangs and the nose rings.
Read, O prophet, in the name of your Lord who created humans wrinkling lot. Wait, hold on. It says read, Muhammad. I thought he was supposed to be illiterate.
That is the first, exactly. And that is like the first stuff, of the first word, what the traditionalists would say, he heard, read, O prophet. So making him illiterate would be just so...
Going against the Quran.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Who created humans from a clinging clot? Read. Your Lord is most generous, who taught by the pen.
It means
taught
recite,
humanity.
not read so much. Iqra means to say it.
Recite.
Recite it.
Your Lord is more generous, who taught by the pen and taught humanity what they know not. And certainly, one exceeds all bounds. Once they think they are self-sufficient, but surely to your Lord is the return of all. Have you seen the man who prevents a servant of ours from praying? What if the servant is rightly guided, or encourages righteousness? What if the man persists in denial and turns away? Does he not know that Allah sees all? But no, he does not desist. We will certainly drag him by the forelock, a lying, sinful forelock. what the fuck that means.
Forelock is like the hair in the front of your head. Also remember, like, he's introducing this slave master relationship because they would mistreat slaves and stuff, and he's telling them, you guys are fucking slaves too. Don't ever think you're not, because you're dependent beings. And who the hell do you think you are? Like, he's a rebel. He's showing a middle finger to all the aristocracy, to all those people who think they're invincible and indomitable. That's what Muhammad is doing. This rebellion is so like innate within him, but he's doing it in such a strategic way that eventually he gets all of them to actually accept Islam. Not just accept, even want to like fight over it after his death.
So let him call his associates. We will call the wardens of hell. Again, no.
You are so
Never obey him, O Prophet. Rather continue to prostrate, drawn near to Allah. Indeed, it is we who sent the Quran down on the night of glory. And what will make you realize... Wait.
The Mafia.
Does the Quran affirm that the Quran was sent down as a whole-ass book all at once?
No.
Because it says we sent down this Quran on the night of glory.
Yeah. So that's again rhetorical.
Men do.
This is a night of
It's the
glory.
same
You're
shit over
experiencing
and
this
over
on
again.
this
It's what we
night.
men do.
No, it does not affirm that. In fact, it goes to say that it was sent through successive. There's a verse you read before this that said it came in succession, in events. This whole thing is a dialogue between Muhammad.
This whole thing is a dialogue. Shut the fuck up, idiot. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed the show. Go to John for Congress for more.